Welcome in, ladies and gents, our third day out of 4 here in the closed qualifier for the Monsters Reloaded 2024 event. BBL Pacific taking on Eternal Fire. To be honest, a mega matchup in the grand scheme of things, Summer. We were even discussing off stream, saying how this game is a tale told way back when, sort of in the Turkish Challengers, right? This was the grand final. Admittedly, different name. It was Eternal Fire and Pacific Esport, and then on the other side of things, we've now got a matchup today that, to be honest, I think there's been a vote of confidence for both in one game and a lack thereof in the other.
Yeah, I think we've seen both the best and the worst, at least so far in this tournament, from both of these teams in their matchups in that upper bracket, along with the match that we saw Eternal Fire play yesterday in the lowers. And you're talking about the historical context of this, and I think this is going to be really important to note. Out of, even when the previous Eternal Fire was competing under the HAL name, going back, we've the results, right? A 2-0 for BBL Pacific, 2-1 for BBL Pacific, 2-0 for Pacific Esports, 2-1 for Pacific Esports, 3-1 for Pacific Esports, 2-1, and then the only one I could find with enough players to say this might actually be something that could have any significance coming into this is back at the beginning of June, when it was a 2-0 for HAL. And when I say these games were close, it was a 13-9 and a 13-10. So across the board, it's looking a little bit shaky, and I'm a little bit worried for the side of the Eternal Fire, because I feel like we've found their kryptonite as well, whether it's under the name of HAL, under the name of Eternal Fire. BBL Pacific seem to have their number, only having lost that one important series, really. Sure, there's some BO1s going back before the main rosters of either of these teams were formed, so I've kind of ignored those. But going into those main BO3s, BO5s as well, like you said, in the finals of the Turkish Challenger, it is looking like we do really need to see the best of Eternal Fire and the worst of BBL Pacific for us to see possibly the change of tune, at least from the historic matches.
And I think something else to note is you were talking about all of these matchups and the long list of scores that BBL Pacific have gotten over the heads of Eternal Fire. They're all BO3s. Today we're doing a BO5 in the lower final. You know, that means that there's little room to have a second ban, little room to remove maybe one of your flaws in the veto. BO5s are tricky because you've got to be a team that holds a very good standard on all the maps, more or less. And for Eternal Fire, I think as you say, like, you have a look all the way back when there's only been one result that's gone their way. They've tried a plethora of different maps, different options, sort of changing their veto as best as they can. BBL Pacific have had their number every single time. And to me, that's just going to scream disaster for the Eternal Fire side, because if you can't beat them across, 5, 6, 7 BO3s in a row, what does a BO5 tell you? Well, the more consistent team is going to win. And already in the BO3s, BBL Pacific have been nothing short of consistent. They have been the team constantly getting the wins over Eternal Fire. And so there's a big cause for concern for me coming into this BO5. Eternal Fire, you might get a map in this series, when it's your turn to pick a map and you're going to feel confident in some aspect. But BBL Pacific, over the course of 4 or 5 maps, in my opinion, they're gonna at least find their way through to find 3.
And I think adding on to your point there of talking about this tournament in particular, this is a rematch that we saw on the very first day over on Tuesday when we're coming into this playoff bracket. It was a 2-0 in favour of BBL Pacific, but more importantly, I think it was more the dominance that they had on their own map pick. Sure, when it went to Eternal Fires, it was that really close into that double OT, eventually went in favour of BBL Pacific, but Pearl was very much one-sided. It was a 13-5, and looking at some of the couple of rounds that they were able to get, you're talking about being able to convert on that third round, losing the pistols, converting the third, and then it was just a whitewash for the side of BBL Pacific for the rest of that game. And I think that's something to worry about, in the sense of, okay, well, if they can take you to overtime, really push it, and realistically should have closed it out in regulation on your map pick, and then you get decimated and you have nothing to say back on Pearl in particular, are we going to see these maps repeat in this best of 5, and how late are they going to come out? Because like you said, there's only going to be 2 bans, and that's 1 for each team, so it's going to be interesting to see what the teams actually want to go in through in the banning process and the prioritizations. Silver lining, a lot of maps have been played, like you said, across all of these BO3s that we've seen. We can make the assumption that they would have looked back on them. Like, they've covered so many maps in all these various BO3s. They should have at least some experience in officials outside of scrim partners, possibly, or just in the Turkish scene of scrims. There's a chance that we can see that sort of experience of playing and realistically losing against them be able to bring a light in this series. And yeah, we were talking about the Pearl we saw in the first day. It was a 13-5. BBL Pacific's map pick, so it's getting repeated here. And one of the main things I want to talk about is how offline so many of the players were for the side of Eternal Fire. Not for lack of trying. We're constantly going for the entries, but BBL Pacific, they were just right there and ready.
Yeah, just as a quick reiteration of the veto, it was Bind and Abyss. Banned out, it goes Pearl, Ascent, Split, Haven, Sunset. So, yeah, we were talking about lopsided beginnings and vetoes for the BBL Pacific side, and it doesn't look like they're exactly going to be willing to give up that context and that story, the narrative in this series. A good start for BBL Pacific once more. Early kill out onto Izzy. BBL Pacific, they're now just going to pull the plug on towards the ace site. Flashes galore. Brave has to tuck out, but it will be a reswing to find 1 with the Ghost, a second, a third with the Ghost, a 4th from Brave! The statement made here, as it's crewing against 3 to bail BBL Pacific out of a loss. Unreal from the Ghost. And now Crewin continues to march forward. We'll try and get some information. Camera put out, but quickly destroyed. Eternal Fire Now completely reliant on these remaining 2 players. So much work done in the back of sight, and it could all be for naught. What a start this would be. A 4K might not be enough. Crewin is low. Anima will hold on. Eternal Fire will take the pistol.
You were talking about a 4K might not be enough. It was so near not. 40 HP left on Anima, and you're talking about the heroics of Brave over towards the backside, getting that 4K, putting them in the position, a surefire position to win the round, and set up the rest of the defense on that flood in for the retake. And, well, as you saw, it didn't necessarily go the best, and Brave definitely counted as lucky stars that some of those kills came through with, well, full stunned up with the neon stuns as well, along with the Astro utility as they were flooding out onto the site. And it's more of that pendulum swing back off of losing the very first pick onto Izzy. You're looking at that was a surefire way to get the round done if you just clear out the backside player of Brave. Also, you have to be concerned, even after heroics like that, putting the advantage so in favor of Eternal Fire that it did end up going back down into that 2v1 situation, into the 1v1. So you definitely do want to appreciate that they were able to close that out after Brave's 4K. But as soon as we get back onto rifles and get back into more utility-based rounds, is this where we're going to see more of a disparity between these 2 teams, which is something that we did see in the games on Tuesday.
Yeah, BBL Pacific have had this tendency to be able to take over in a series. You know, once they get the ball rolling, it's been incredibly hard to stop them. I think yesterday, I've got to look at that supermassive matchup, and it was disappointing. I can't say it was unexpected. We obviously had the group stage off stream. We only joined for the playoffs, or at least started here in the playoffs. And there it was a 2-1 to the Papara supermassive side as well. I think what we learned in that series is that BBL Pacific aren't a perfect team. They were prone to mistakes. They were missing the delivery of a few rounds, and after some time, I think it's safe to say BBL Pacific, war of attrition, these BO5s, it's such a slugfest. A draining day of Valorant ahead of both of these teams, but BBL Pacific should be able to bring it over the line. We'll see if that same BBL Pacific team from the opening day can sort of be brought forward to today. You were mentioning that opening matchup on Tuesday, 2-0, 13-5, 15-13. Haven was a lot closer. Always has been between these 2 teams. See if the homework has been done. Bit of a tech pause before we head into our second round here, Summer. Hopefully one that doesn't last all too long.
And just bringing into the context as well of this Eternal Fire team, they were pretty poor on the pistols yesterday. We weren't really able to, one, get the pistols, and when they were able to convert. But one thing they were good at was being able to flip that switch as well, especially looking towards Izzy on that headhunter. And looking at the side of BBL Pacific, you don't necessarily have that sort of character where you have easy weaponry, like a mini pocket guardian for pretty cheap credits. So for their option to turn this around, it would be a force buy, and a pretty strong one at that. Crew's even managed to get a Bulldog out, we have a Stinger on comeback, and a lot of Sheriffs as well dappered around the place.
Doesn't quite match up to the same potential as the Eternal Fire investments. One that could definitely do some damage, and speaking of comeback, an Outlaw shot to the chest. 10 HP is all the Neon will be left with. Some early util dump towards the A side of things as the bodies continue to pile up, or going for LaRock as well. No one wanting to go through, at least just yet. The spam through. Kushina trying to line up these shots and do the damage. The Phoenix slips into the corner. This should be an expected result, but still delivers. Loiter a second. The Sheriffs are poking holes through this defense. Eternal Fire, while a good start with the pistols, are now struggling against that second round force. Izzy has to back away. Nice read from Cider, expecting the flank from comeback. But it's a 3v3, and the HP still favouring the attacking side.
Rose as well playing deep in main, so has an opportunity to play very late into this round. Or is he going to play to help his teammates? There's no stars left on Lighter, so these have to be head-up engagements. He's managed to slip the net though out of that corner, wasting a little bit of Cyderx's utility, and even Rose chimes in from main onto that shot. And look at the HP left on these players. Any bullet, whether it's in the toes or in the head, it's going to close it out, so it has to be clean from Anima. Izzy's already fallen beside him, 5 HP left, and it's a fadeaway shot from Rose. And I was talking about being able to flip that switch and turn the rounds realistically. Look at this, we've walked away with it for the side of BBL Pacific with a free Vandal and a free Guardian and a free Outlaw upgrade.
Yeah, this is dangerous, to be honest. Mentioned that the weapons were less, but clearly the desire a little bit more. Comeback getting tagged up early to the Outlaw. But that was it until the A site was compromised. The spike went down. 3v3 turned sour for the defense. Pistol start that was strong. BBL Pacific right back to it. Kushina. Early aggression in middle. It will be compromised to camera of the Cypher. Cruin even thinking about giving it a look in middle here. Is he on the other side with the Headhunter? Doesn't matter how that fight goes because the A site under threat and under siege. The kill does go the correct way. Cruin tagged up admittedly in the process, but still a 5v4, and now BBL Pacific can just play the post plant. No real concern. And Eternal Fire, look, promised to the start of this map. Won the pistol, thought, okay, this is going to be a fun one to watch. Maybe they've done their homework. Instead, it is going to be second best in the second. And then in the third, comeback even just trying to Cyclops in here in middle, scoped out, Outlaw in hand. Thank God, Cruin is there to help out. Comeback missed shot. But BBL Pacific do not miss the opportunity to capitalise.
And again, you even saw the little micro adjustments, Cruin dropping over that Vandal to a teammate who only had the Sheriff in the round, just being able to make sure it's on that full HP, full shielded player after that engagement over towards mid. So yeah, there you go, you can see it in the replay. It's really nice that we're seeing that come back as well, picking up a couple of easy kills with that Outlaw. And I think that's something that you're going to be looking over towards Eternal Fire. Anima's definitely at risk of going down to that one-shot body shot with that light shields, but there is an operator in favour of Izzy here. We like to see him start over towards A. He was taking a lot of deep peeks in towards A main when we were seeing them previously on this map, but this time it's towards R. A little bit more conservative angle as well, but a TP out ready if it is needed. It's just cycling orbs at the moment. Larocque's already up onto 4. It's this easy A main presence that they're able to get along with control. No one's even challenging it because, well, you have your chamber posted up over towards R. Your Astra's not really going to be the one to peek, but I say that, and it's BBL Pacific's Astra that takes that lurk kill over and a shot. Opportunity for a second, shoulder spotted out. And it's just left and right on this, trying to catch the timing. Cyderx wants to get back over to site, but that is denied. And that's a free open B site, and you can already see the rotations coming through. Spike being dropped as well to try and cycle more ore points possibly. Larocque's already picked one up over towards main. One away now for that player, and that could be dangerous going into the next couple of rounds. $5v3, do you even go for that?
Yeah, I was going to say,
with a quick kill.
Keep moving in. It's a good start. Brave got to be caught out from this connector position. No information given by the Hunter's Fury. Spike goes down. Larocque tips the scales further in favour of BBL Pacific. It's Brave that has to rattle one back the wall to block off everything. This divide across site leaves Eternal Fire in a tricky position. They've either got to walk through and play face, or they just have to take the consequence. Brave finding the Phoenix ults and then the Astra. Low HP, Izzy drops down. The tag damage is good. The information given up by Roseno. Now they know where both players are. Izzy tries to catch it in the corner of the smoke, but both BBL Pacific players equal in frags and equal opportunity. BBL Pacific take home an operator and a Vandal at the end, and Eternal Fire back in their bags after another gun investment.
I'm all for using ultimates as early as possible in halves because it gives you the opportunity to then cycle them a lot more. Like we saw it, especially in Game Changers, we saw a player have 3 Sova ults in a half, which is absolutely crazy for the amount of time it takes to build that up. But the fact that they use the Astra, the Cosmic Device, they run it back, along with the Hunter's Fury in this one, just to secure it. Sure, it's going to push them onto an eco. But you can't help but see they gave so many opportunities away in that round for it to possibly go in favour, because it was a 5v3 and it comes down to a 2v2. So this time, LaVorie is not even going to let them have a chance back into this one. It's headshot after headshot, and it is just crisp and clean. Sure, it's not necessarily against the strongest buy, but you can't deny those shots, and you cannot deny that ace.
Pretty slick stuff. That is a confidence builder. And to be fair, if there's one person that you want to feel confident in an early point in the series, it's either one of LaRock or Comeback, and the fact that it's all stacked up on that Phoenix. Ult is already there. Maybe you were saying about the ults being used. There you go, Summer. Have that just again. Why not? Just
My bad.
Get it right back.
You used too many ults in the last round, and you've already got one in the next. It's sort of, you used it. You used the ultimate to make sure you secure the 4th round over towards B. Maybe get a couple of exit as well on the way out. You saw he was one of the players that survived. Going into this one, yeah, sure, just go an ace, fine. Prove me wrong, you got the ultimate back already. And especially with the ult economy turning around now, is having a look at Eternal Fire, especially with this timeout that they're taking. They know how important this round is going to be. And especially with the fact that they have that operator available again for Izzy, I think that's going to be an interesting position where they're going to set him. Is it back over towards A main? Are they going to put him on the long angle over towards B? Because that had been exploited by Loiter in the previous round, where they were able to get 2 1v1s basically on those anchors there, and that opened up that site completely. So that's going to be an interesting adaptation if it's a possibility for Eternal Fire that they want to go into it, or they stick into the game plan that they had originally and just tightening up those extremities a little bit.
So after 5 rounds, BBL Pacific hold 4. You can see the scoreboard here that is pretty top heavy for the side of Eternal Fire. Braves having a good game as for everyone else. I think the same can be said. We need to start seeing some of these players step up to the Eternal Fire side. Double push, in fact triple, towards the short side. Kushner sits behind the box. The swing is on a timing, and it's not even going to work. In fact, a self-stun, able to slide away and somehow survive. Braves caught another. A triple stack on short. Comeback can only find the one. And LaRock, 1v3, had already burnt the run it back. Now needs to hit some shots, and it's not a bad start. 1 kill out of 3 found. Spike just in front of the Phoenix as well, using the wall to scoop it up. Slips through the other side. With 50 seconds left, 1v2, Spike in pocket. I wouldn't say this is the most losable of rounds. As LaRock sticks it down, it's now Eternal Fire left to make the next move. A big flank coming in from Izzy out towards A main. I think this is the gunfight that's going to determine the round. If LaRock expects this, which it's looking to be, isolating these 1v1s, they split the resources, and now there's a chance that LaRock can really win this round. Concussed, jumping Izzy, knows that that's going to throw the aim off of LaRock, and Anima setting Izzy up for the freebie. It's a second on the board for Eternal Fire.
Yeah, and what supportive utility as well. You mentioned it there, the split up, the fact that one's coming in through main, and it has that opportunity for those 1v1s. And, well, as soon as that gunfight goes in favour of BBL Pacific, you're in a position where you know the rest of flank is clear. You can hold across into side because it is stuck in the corner where it was planted. And yeah, you can even see the supportive utility, the jump across as well, like you said, to displace the crosshair, because a lot of the times you can actually hit that first shot headshot, and I think that's the main way you could even see LaRock winning that round if it was clean, an instant kill there. But yeah, again, a supportive utility from Eternal Fire. Also seems a little bit of an overzealous from that commit over towards A. Off the back of the run it back coming in from LaRock, you had 2 players behind him falling, and then the art push also crumbled. Sure, there was a little bit messy with the self-stun coming in from Kushner X. There was enough bodies addressing the problem, whether it was over to A main or over towards art. Like at a certain point, you had 3 players shooting at one. It was a little bit unfair if you want to talk about 50-50 gunfights, and that was all because of Izzy's position over towards B. Heavy aggressive up onto that pillar, like you can see again in this round, which allows such a stack over towards this mid-A section with the trip as well. So it really does come down to how they're utilising Izzy and how strong his anchoring over towards B and advanced it can be in that round. And you can see in this one, A lot of information being gathered over towards mid, but not really much space being gained. And that's a little bit of a worry for the side of BBL Pacific as it gets down to 40 seconds. Although the Eternal Fire rotating over, that fake smoke pickup over towards B has left Izzy questioning, calling for reinforcements inside of X, but now the ult's coming out from comeback onto the site, and he deals with both of the anchors just like that.
See you later. Slides right in, straight through towards spawn. No one denying the space-taking ability of the Neon. Illustrated perfectly by Comeback's double, the Rock. Got to be careful. I think, at least I thought was going to get caught out, but still manages to win the fight. Izzy 1v5, spotted on the Cypher cam, and look at the bodies. They all fly towards B.
Look at the money. You have to hunt this down because money on Eternal Fire is looking a little bit bleak, and that of BBL Pacific. 3k on almost everyone, 5k even on a couple of players. Loiter cleans it up. Question of whether they want to bring the operator into the next, and that's interesting that they don't. We've seen a lot of these players, especially Rose as well on that Sova, taking the aggressive Sova initiator opping style, especially on this map on Ascent. We've seen it time and time again. So it is sort of telling that they want to go into that more fast pushing, and well, Comeback just wants to buy up the Outlaw because, well, look at the money. It's got to be a question as who is going to be able to afford and what. Houston Rex on that full shield just because of the overdrive in pocket. And saying that, he may find a couple of kills over towards B. 2 targets right for the taking.
Oh, dangerous moves. Kushner getting caught out by Cruin. That's a bit unfortunate, isn't it?
That was their way back into the round.
Yeah. That was their real gut punch to this BBL Pacific attack removed. Now 5-on-4, jump spot, Cruin, tap of the orb, wondering if anyone playing close to the cage or even within it. And now there you have it. Ult up. Straight usage. Neural theft, they're going to see what's going on. Okay, there's a couple of players towards B. Already half the hold removed. Anima's going to be caught in the open. Admittedly doing a bit of damage, and now come back on a big flank with the Outlaw. Everyone making this round look super easy. The BBL Pacific side. It's just protocol summer, that's all it is. And that's how they're going to be winning rounds. They are just delivering solid defaults. They are reaping the rewards. It's just Izzy left. Vandal in hand, sure, but it's a hero investment. My surprise would be if there's any attempt at a round win. I think this just has to be a save.
Yeah, we're just possibly looking for the exits, but in this round, Eternal Fire had a game plan. You had the stun coming out over towards B main with the double up of Kushner running it down. Comeback not even going to allow a save to go in. Talking about Neon movement for that one, and it is talking about that initiation over towards main. The stun was perfect on one of the players, but it cannot cover the whole entirety of main, which left Crew in there as that Cypher, as the bodyguard for his teammate of Loiter. And if you're talking about the engagement, if that went in a different way, you could see 2 rifles being picked up, then that means there's 3 across the board, and even an opportunity for Kushner to drop his over because the ult should still have been running, and it got shut down so easily by the side of BBL Pacific. Crewing picking up the ultimate, and then they have all the information that they need to work with, making sure they're not going into a stack. And yeah, you're talking about the last kill. A little bit brazen, and running back again online. I think, is this his 3rd or 4th?
Yeah, I lost count, honestly. Insane. Good start, Brave 5v4. Comeback though, quick to tip the scales back in BBL Pacific's favour. Spike down. To be fair, they've got a few ultimates that can be used. Tour of Force, of course, activated by Izzy. Anima has the breach ult as well.
Look how far away they are, Ryan. They have to get into this site quick. Look how far Cider X is away. So if they want to ult this site, sure, but is it going to hit the players in main? Is it going to hit all the players or not? Because that's still a question for these teams. And while Comeback has just dealt with the main prong of this retake, Cider X far away. Sure, he's a little bit closer now over towards this art behind the box. But there's no stay in this round. He's going for those exits, and he's not even going to get away with that. Cruin, the helping hand of Larocque, take that rifle off the board. Sure, it's going to be full loss bonus for Eternal Fire, but this is just not what you want to see. First map in a best of 5, and you're being dealt the hand of a 7-2 scoreline already.
I've got to say, I hope we get to watch it back here. Come back. Look, 15 points of health, right? And this is my real irk about this agent, is the fact that at 15 points of health, like, the most logical thing to do is you sit passive, you hold onto your gun. Sure, even if you're a multi-millionaire in terms of creds, like, the fact that you can have the confidence, you're one bullet away from death, to swing and to then win the fight, man, it's... you can't blame anyone if you can't beat them, join them, you know, that's the mentality you gotta have with these Neons, but man, it's always painful to see. Nice bit of individual excellence from LaRock. No sliding with the Phoenix, just the flash and 2 quick kills.
Yeah, is that okay for you? Are those kills, those engagements,
that's
up to
better.
your standard? Yeah. Well, it's not better for Eternal Fire, but at least they have a little bit less of a blame over towards the Neon movement, and more just to the fact that LaRock has genuinely just put them down. It was an engagement. There's many people over towards mid, 3 people taking those engagements, and it was both from R and from double doors at the same time, and LaRock has just decided, okay, you first, then you. And that is a B site given, an A site given. You have 3 players over towards mid for Eternal Fire, so the rotates are going to be relatively quick. We back into the round. Double ultimate, you can layer these on top of each other. Astra's Cosmic Divide, and then the Rolling Thunder over towards backside. And that's seemingly what they don't want to necessarily give up from the side of BBL Pacific, because they know how deadly that Astra's Cosmic Divide can be. Is he wanting to take the walk out anyway? It's only going to be a stun over towards backside. It's being called off already.
Done. Even with the ult combination that you mentioned.
Don't want to go for
Eternal Fire, not happy to invest it. I mean, it is a 2v4 at the end of the day, but I don't know. I feel like at this point on Pearl Summer, personal opinion is, you know, you're 7-2 down. It's about to be 8. Like, surely you've just got to throw caution to the wind here and just be like, screw it, we're going to go for every retake. We're going to, you know, try and win some rounds. Because all the time that you're saving guns, it's BBL Pacific with all the creds to go hunting. They're the ones with all the confidence, and you're not improving on the scoreline. Yeah, it's a BO5. Yeah, it's not your map pick. You can see in the top left. But you at least want there to be a conversation of, man, heading on to Ascent, Eternal Fire had some promise. They've had some good rounds. And to be honest, the only 2 that they've had is that one standalone win, and then the pistol, of which they couldn't even convert the second round. So, for me at least, and my buck, I've got to say, no wonder that the BBL Pacific side are walking all over Eternal Fire. They're allowing them to be walked over.
Is definitely a conversation to be had, whether not banning this out, especially after the performance in the first day. It was a 13-5. They got the pistol, sure, in this one, but like you said, was not being able to convert on, and that was the start of BBL Pacific's reign of terror, realistically, on this map in particular. We saw it on Tuesday, we're seeing it again, maybe not necessarily the same start, with just utter domination of the pistol, the follow-up, about a 6-0, 7-0 lead. But an 8-2 is basically the same. I believe we had a 9-3, 10-2 half on that game, and coming into this one, it looks like it's going to be repeated. And LaRock in particular is somebody who's just hitting absolutely everything, I feel, whenever we see them going for any engagements, going for another one over towards Art now, has the opportunity. As I say that, isn't able to convert. Q-Strex is the one with the Vandal, though. Good for one over towards backside, but Loiter's there again, and it's this thing, it's individual heroics that look like are being forced out of the Eternal Fire players. They're down to 8. At what point does the more disciplined era of some of these players come out of, like, I need to win this round for my team? They're feeling like they're forced into going for these heroic plays, rather than playing what their designated game plan, playing with each other as a team. And you see it's 1 by 1 by 1.
Oh, it's nearly even a missed shot from side. I will get taken down. And, you know, not to nitpick too much, but in a one-sided game like this, I think you start to understand a lot of the flaws in maybe the Eternal Fire game plan. For me, in that round in particular, you look at it at face value, 2 1v1s given, 5v3, and it's like, even when Eternal Fire get a couple of kills and bring it back to the 3v3, I'm just struggling to get excited because I know how flat the site holds have been. I know how flat the discipline has been, as you say. Everyone just happy to play saves, play comfy. And for me, against this side, we learnt in the previous game between these two that BBL Pacific are a team, and as history would suggest, they are a team that will not lay a finger off the pulse. You need to make them feel uncomfortable. You need them to slip out of their rhythm and out of their game plan to start getting results.
But look how scared they are. 2 ultimates popped over towards mid. Well, it's last round and a half mate as well. And that's an immediate call for Anima's ult. Rolling Thunder over towards Art. That stops that push, sure, but B-side's open on a possibility now to get into this. Cruin knows where the TP's going, has all of B-side to himself, and even maybe wants to press the issue. Shore's backside is clear, but looking at this, there's no Rolling Thunder for the retake. Sure, you can talk about the Astral Divide, but when you have Rose available on that Hunter's Fury, you need to also utilize it early. Rose in a possibility of getting spammed out by Houston Rex. Comeback is there for protection, but not for much longer. Is this the breath of life that we needed from this roster?
Never say never. Spike dropped as well, all on LaRock 1v3. Eternal Fire make it their third, but it is at the half-time whistle. Basically an added time in the first half that Eternal Fire deliver the hat-trick. But hat-trick would suggest that it's something impressive, Summer. 3 rounds on your defense on Pearl. I think it's safe to say that a pistol round will be all she wrote if Eternal Fire concede it. It requires a very, very abnormal second half from them on the attack and on the back foot.
It's not as if we got to see much of BBL's Pacific's defense when these two teams last played. There was 6 rounds played overall, and they lost 1, and that was the 3rd round. So we're talking about it starts with a pistol a lot with really pretty dire scorelines, whether it's an 8-4, a 9-3, or even a 10-2. You have that possibility of the pistol to start closing that gap. Give yourselves a little bit more of that wiggle room in regards to the comebacks later on when we get onto the rifles. But this one, Eternal Fire won the pistol. It's the follow-up and then subsequent rifle rounds that they weren't able to convert. And into the last round, you're looking at the fact that Izzy was able to get that initial kill. Presence over towards B shown. Rose playing as that sort of bait setup, trying to bait them into the crossfire that they can set up with the comeback over towards this backside, along with LaRock over towards Halls. Spike hasn't been committed anywhere yet though, Ryan, because look at the exploration over towards Art.
And a deception. Oh no, Cruin, you can't be finding one there. Izzy does trade, but it's at the cost of some health, and the information now that maybe the wraparound towards A is becoming reality. Eternal Fire with a bit of time to get in advanced positions before the BBL Pacific side arrive on scene. Tap towards CT. Just trying to bait that Izzy isn't there. Why would you tap if someone's pushing? LaRock has a check, nothing to be found, a second kill, but it's Comeback and Rose that have found 2 kills. Talking about an Eternal Fire pistol, it now has to be from the leg down. A massive flanking coming, a tap of the spike. Someone has to move quickly. Izzy will activate. Kushner gets 1. Loiter, another tap, expecting the wraparound towards the left-hand side of sight. And BBL Pacific will somehow wriggle their way out of a 3v4 and deliver for double digits. It's 10-3. And it is dire straits for Eternal Fire on Pearl.
And a 1v2 as well for Loiter. Information being fed over. 1 towards mid, 1 towards dugout. And yeah, this interaction, you should never be even getting 1 here. And how messy Izzy made that as well over towards the end. So much damage had been done. Nice wraparound here, but there was so much information. Just untimed as well from the remaining 2 players. You could think about the coordination there. 2 1v1s given. Yeah, it is looking horrible for the side of BBL Pacific. Although, an outlaw has been forced out for Izzy. So crewing could be under fire, possibly, for getting that 1-shot body shot. But everyone else has that full armor. Bulldogs that are aware of the possibility of the danger of the Eternal Fire force-up.
Speaking of, Comeback taking a shot to the chest, 140 damage done. Bit of extra damage, here comes the first Bulldog in the kill feed. Loiter gets the start, Rose the second, but Eternal Fire at the playing field level. Comeback low, short, Ciderex moving in, Anima scooping up the Bulldog, and this is all just basically an audio ruse. And make it the steps towards A, util being dumped. Actually, they just stick it in reverse and instead have a look towards B instead.
And look at the information that Rose is actually going to get. So he's going to be able to clear out this R position with the help of comeback. That's going to be alarm bells that this is not going to be this A finish attempt of a split as well over through Art. Although Rose jumps the gun, they are going to be watching that double door position, but that's a confirmation at least. Comeback looking to go for that super long flank, but on that low HP, you're expecting to see LaRock do a lot of the heavy lifting in this round in particular, especially with so many angles that Comeback has to be open to on long. You can see 2 players are holding it currently. Siderex in between 2 mines, whether he's helping Brave or helping Anima. Who's going to take the contact first? Well, it is going to be Comeback taking it, but Anima takes the kill, but it's 2 kills in favour of Locker. He's dealt with both players backside, dodge of the stun. Low HP on Anima, it takes 1 bullet, but it doesn't even matter if it's going to be a headshot. And that's an 11th. That was looking about the round that could be the swing. We're talking about winning the pistol, losing the follow-up that we saw in the first. That started the BBL Pacific run of rounds. It had an attempt to do the same. It's heroics again from this Phoenix player. And I genuinely do love to see Phoenix on this map, especially when you're seeing your breaches, your geckos, your flash initiators taking up that mantle and having that double duelist setup as well.
Force buy goes awry. A lot of casualties in the server, to be fair, but I mean, LaRock with a 1v3, that is
this is crazy.
An intense loss. Really nice shot on the third as well, and I mean, look, understandably, another force for Eternal Fire. They know they need to just do something to start winning rounds.
It's going to be a force until the end of the game, realistically.
Yeah.
Looking at 11 for BBL Pacific. Eternal Fire loses this up on 12, and then you have no reason not to take the force in that 16th round. An opportunity to win this one. That's the thing when we talk about force buys. It's an opportunity to destroy BBL Pacific's money and put a couple of rounds of yours together. Comeback, though, is not even going to let that happen. Izzy's not going to have a say in this. He's going to have to watch from the sidelines. So Rolling Thunder comes out onto site.
Well, nicely done for Brave. Good start. Loiter, Kruan finished the job, though. Numbers overwhelm. It is map point BBL Pacific and the start of this BO5. I mean, a flash in the pan in terms of how long this could go on for. But I think a quick check in reality of how downwards this series could end up. If it is the Eternal Fire side that find themselves second best time and time again. It is 12-3. Dangerous stuff, Summer. Dangerous, dangerous stuff. It is a statement piece in our opening map.
And just, you can see the confidence brewing as well on LaRock. That's exactly what you want from your initiator on that duelist. And again, run it back already available here. That's going to push all of the attackers of Eternal Fire away from that A main position. It's going to be spotted out by the drone as well. Comeback's going to capitalize off it. Good for one, the trader's there, but is the rest of Eternal Fire's playing... If Eternal Fire's players dropping around the map, and even goes down to Rose and Loiter, the supportive players didn't necessarily have the chance to shine because it's just the duelist for the side of BBL Pacific that had been shining so much in this map already. And it's the first map of the series. It's a best of 5. You can't ask for more from your duelists.
I mean, look, we were delayed a couple of minutes, Summer, and this map started a little bit late. We aren't even 50 minutes into when the scheduled start was, and we're already done with map 1. We already did our pre-show, and we're about to head to a break and think about a second. That went so quickly. And the Eternal Fire side, I don't know if it's a lack of warming up. I don't think that'll be the case, but maybe a lack of warming up into this BBL Pacific side. I think way too much respect was given in the first half. Too many saves, not enough sort of ambiguousness when it comes to going for retake, and the ambition just wasn't there. And that is that for the first map. Of course, it is the pick of the BBL Pacific side, but a statement made in our first. It's a sent up next to see if the Eternal Fire side can respond.
Heroes. They're made of actions. They know how to win. They're out of this world. You know them. Be one today. Get serious. Be the story to be told. All you need is dedication, perfection, precision, a winning attitude. Become one with your duo and embrace the monster in you. Tulpar, for serious.
You don't believe the hype, so we stick to performance. You're not buying off the shelf, so we create for the off and running. You deliver ambitious builds, unrivaled gaming, and untethered creativity. We develop products that do the same. Crucial Memory and Storage offers high-performance solutions for maximizing your potential. For the tech-savvy, the tech-rookie, and the technically, I'm just getting started. Because wherever your drive is taking you, it's also taking us.
Welcome in, ladies and gents. It is our second map that we've got to discuss. And I guess as a brief reminder of the first, I say brief, it was quite literally blink and you miss it stuff out on the pick of BBL Pacific. Pearl went pretty poorly for the Eternal Fire side. 13-4 was the end, 13-3, excuse me, was the end scoreline, not even 13-4. I guess light at the end of the tunnel, we are on Ascent next, which is a map that has been notoriously close between these two teams. I think for my buck though, Summer, Eternal Fire go into that series, hopefully a bit of a reality check after the first map, but for BBL Pacific, they're like, yo, we can stomp these guys today. We just keep playing same level of Valorant. It was really synergized. There was always trades. Executes looked pretty strong, and I don't think there were any clear weaknesses. And the whole piece just came together like this really neat puzzle, and BBL Pacific couldn't really be stopped, and Eternal Fire couldn't find their way in, giving Ascent a real good look for the BBL Pacific side.
Yeah, and I think all the pieces, like, matching together as that sort of puzzle is something that I want to touch on. The top fragger for the side of BPL Pacific, sure, it was a 13-3, so you're not expecting too many kills, but it was 17 on LaRock and Comeback, both with like 8 entries between them or something like that. But then also the lowest fragger, and by no means bad, it's 12 and 6 for Cruton. He is like 4 or 5 kills in between the top fragger and the, well, lowest performing, if you want to say it like that, on this roster. And then you have the, looking at the Eternal Fire side, and there's that little bit of a bigger disparity. So for the side of BBL Pacific, everyone's shooting back, everybody's here to play, and everyone's getting their chance for their multi-kill rounds in particular. And looking at the entries, they were a little bit scary for the side of BBL Pacific. And the last one, Brave picking up one for his roster this time, but it's only one going to be collected over towards this B site. Everyone's going for that full retake over towards B. Main's soon to be taken over by Comeback as well.
TP to get back into safety. Util going to be deployed. They are a leg down, but quick to return the favour. Brave gets the trade-off. Comeback. This Frenzy has found 3. And they know that there's a player in the boathouse. Anima to shut down the automatic pistol. It's LaRock against 2. The slide out. It's such a big whiff. 3 bullets left. Should know that Anima's sat in back sight, but it is the Ghost that trumps for Eternal Fire. And at least between the maps, it's the same start. Eternal Fire take the pistol.
Comeback on this Jet as well. You see hints of a possibility we're going to have the similar performances as what we've seen on the Neon, because that's realistically all we've actually seen so far in this tournament on the maps that they've played is the Comeback synonymous with this Neon. So it's nice to see a little bit of a change up. Let's see if it's going to be as potent as some of the incredibly slide entries, slide multi-kills that we've seen, and how aggressive he wants to be on that defense with this agent in particular. But yeah, like you said, pistol for Eternal Fire, not much different to what we saw on Peel, but this follow-up is looking a lot stronger. BBL Pacific aren't forcing into it. 2 premium rifles as well on the side of Eternal Fire. Cution Rex on that Vandal. Anima with the Phantom The only thing you can talk of is Rock with this Sheriff. Bro's already taking off the board. There's a little bit of a heavy default coming from BBL, even though they don't necessarily have the weaponry to do it with. Yeah, the site's just being completely taken over. No chance back into it. Siderex utilising that frenzy to the best of the ability. Post-quarter engagements. Doesn't seem like anything's going to be given over. You even have... Look how far away Izzy's playing. He's holding for this sort of late lurk, trying to go for those exits over the side of BBL Pacific. But it's likely that they're wanting to go down to the spike. Not wanting to give any ultimate orbs over, especially since these aren't necessarily building up. It's more for the side of Eternal Fire. You don't want to necessarily give Anima his ult early on. He's already over halfway, and that's your Breach player. Cushion Rex is starting to build up as well, and those are the two heavy-hitting rounds, especially on this attacking side. It can get a little bit scary when they begin to come online.
No scope! Easy shot onto Larocque. Comeback just sits in heaven, as you say. It's all about dying to the spike. No need to run in for damage or give an ult orb away for free. Just play it as safe as you can. Good start for Eternal Fire, pistol and conversion. At least a lot more promise than what was the previous map summer. Real question is how BBL Pacific conduct themselves on the defending side now that they have the rifles. This was a big talking point for us, is that I think underwhelming has been sort of the word that we've associated with their defense on this map specifically. So I'm hoping that between days they've sort of sharpened the tools a little bit more, done their homework maybe, and understand that Eternal Fire aren't exactly a team that shy away from one-sided performances on Ascent.
Look how strong this buy-up is from Eternal Fire. They're wanting to close this out. They wanted to make this a 3-0 lead. Siderex even investing over towards that rifle. Izzy on the operator. Comeback already shut down over towards mid. And a lot of presence outside A. They're going to have to try and get rid of these trips, though, if they do want to execute over into this site. Brave has been damaged a lot. There's the trips being taken care of by Siderex. Heavy rotate in, actually. Nothing too committal from the side of Eternal Fire yet. They've posted all 3 bodies, other than Rose, the sole defender of mid and B. If they hit too much of a stop over towards A, there's an easy rotate out, because the spike's over towards short. Especially with the Neon, you can run that over towards B pretty quickly.
Oh dear. This gets tricky. That's a lot of information fed to Eternal Fire. BBL Pacific still have warriors on the site. Cruan's just found a double. Izzy collapsed back with the operator, but the numbers, the scale tipped in favour of this defense. Loiter just trying to use the timing to get around the generator box. And the smoke is causing havoc right now for the attack. They don't know where the BBL Pacific players have woven themselves, and while Izzy will collect a third, will be eventually dug in his grave. It is 2-1. BBL Pacific start on the right foot when it comes to the rifles.
I love the setup that they always have over towards A, specifically Cruan, with using these Cypher cages over to the left side of site. And you saw that smoke towards the end of the round. That's more of that survival smoke that you see being, like you said, it gives so many questions to the attackers, cuts off so many angles. It stops that scaler over towards site. Sure, you can have tree, you can have over towards switch, but that's sort of where that line ends without having to push into smokes around the back of Jenny, where you have, well, a lot of crosses going to be trained over towards that position, so it really does stop them in their tracks over towards A, and it's lovely layering of utility. Talking about utility, an opportunity, Paranoia in hand. You've seen these trap plays all too often, but there's no one going to be peeking necessarily off of main. Aftershock invested to get him out of this position, but he's going to be going for the peaks nonetheless.
Nice start in terms of the utility usage. Having a look at what the BBL Pacific side have left in the locker, I think it was all about selling the play that a hit was going to come quickly. BBL Pacific invest a fair bit. Smoked. There was the Paranoia off the Omen. Shock darts used off Rose as well. That was towards B. Even the Rock without the knife. So this is going to be quite a surprise for BBL Pacific. Smoke comes up for Loiter, drops into main. The Guardian gets the first. There goes the ult. Rolling Thunder used towards the site. Within the smoke, though, is Rose. Unfortunately, the Gatling gun being brought out, and it will dismantle this attack. I say that, Izzy 1v2, not the most unlosable of rounds. Kruin just jiggling and buying time for comeback to get out into heaven. The double swing nearly connects on the transfer, but BBL Pacific back to protocols, back to basics, and a really clean round to make it their second.
And you just love how Kruin stayed alive for so long. Sure, putting a little bit of pressure with those peaks, left, right, but it's also just giving that at least slight bit of information that they're not scaling it too far towards side. This reveal was absolutely nasty, by the way. It gets a double. Shaw gets traded back out by Izzy. As soon as the sight falls, it's Kruin. Spend enough time, wide swing then, brings him out to the open, gives so much information to come back to make sure his cross is trained, his jump peaks accurate coming out of heaven. Yeah, second on the board, equalizing now to the lead we saw Eternal Fire able to put together with that pistol. Come back. The operator neutralized over towards mid, at least for that deep angle into Tyler, so they're able to scale up there. But if they try to go any further over towards market, there's a couple of players ready and waiting. Doors be closed now over towards B, so that's going to even tighten the restraints of where Eternal Fire can look towards, especially with Izzy walking, trying to get over towards this position. Even spotted out on the jump peak as well. So there's so much information for the side of BBL Pacific to work with, along with being able to stack so many players over towards this A site, because doors closed on B. That's going to be an audio sort of call out that if it does start to get broken, you have a long line over towards main by comeback. So now all eyes are going to be trained over towards short and A. Everything has been plugged by the side of BBL. There's no way in that Eternal Fire can find without making their presence known.
Well, and there's no way out, right? They're going to move through middle. The noise is going to be heard by the Sova. You've got the Jet now on the defense, just waiting. The door gets broke. Izzy just quicker to the trigger. That's a nice start. Loiter finding one. Rose tapping away with the Guardian, finds a double. Eventually taken down, but time is of the essence. And a 3-on-2 scenario. The nade goes deep. Anima, are they going to get caught in it? No. The damage is good. The spike goes down. The bodies start to swarm. And the round will conclude. And the disrespect even for BBL Pacific. Spamming the body. You know, they're just trying to get in the head of Eternal Fire. We know how passionate these teams can be. I think at this point in time, BBL Pacific just trying to rattle the Eternal Fire side. Look, we're in front. You win the pistol, win the conversion. We've won 3 on the bounce. You've had nothing to say about it. You've been outclassed when it comes to the rifle v rifle rounds.
Admittedly, we've only had one of those, Ryan. That was round 4. Round 5, sure, it was a little bit of a lighter investment from the side of BBL Pacific. From the side of Eternal Fire, BBL Pacific able to capitalize on it, take the lead. And yeah, we're talking about how well that sort of defense had shifted and ended up in that mid to late round, of the fact that you have the long angle onto B main. Everything was right. It's just unfortunate for the side of comeback that Izzy was just, like you said, quicker to the trigger on that operator v Tour de Force peak. Pull it back up into this one though, so we still have that deep scoped rifle for the side of Izzy. Not too much impact though on it in the previous. Good for one, but that's about it.
That is a nice shot.
Double tag.
2 players, as you say, hit by the Fury. Albeit a scenario in which it's just information early round, nothing that really feeds too much into how BBL Pacific should play the defense.
But look at the defense setup that they've shifted in towards. Rose is completely left B, trying to plug that gap over towards short, especially since that is tending to be where Easy starts over towards tiles when they go for that split over towards short. There's going to be a lot of information with this camera that it is going to be this B hit. Ultimate coming out from the side of BBL Pacific to get those rotates in. Cages up to, well, at least limit the lines of sight these attackers are going to get in. A lot utility from Rose from Spore. We're talking about the reveals, talking about the Odin. Korean finally chimes in with his. Reeve could go overlooked in this position here though, but that smoke being cycled on the spot is going to limit the options. Yeah, there's no time in this at all. It's 2v2. Spike's down on lane. Izzy has not even left main yet. They're just going for this save. They want to keep these rifles into the next. Confirmed by Lurk. Jump peek over to spawn, and it's a sigh of relief for the side of BBL Pacific. Rotates weren't necessarily there. The ultimate from the shadows from Loiter back into the back of site, getting that smoke down on the middle of site. And it's these survival smokes that I'm talking about. Round and round again, it stops Eternal Fire in their tracks. They don't know how to deal with it, Ryan. Or they don't necessarily have the util to deal with it because they've already used it somewhere else.
Yeah, and I've got to say, in terms of investment in that round, like, as you mentioned, the cage was put up for dual purpose. It was to block the lines of sight and delay the push in towards the boathouse. But all the trips, the whole Cypher setup was towards B. They knew if someone walked in, the spam was available. They had that Odin from Rose on the rotate. They had two Vandals very capable of taking shots through smokes and walls. That, one of the most interesting TPs you'll see. Just straight into the crosshair of Brave. I don't know how that doesn't end in a kill. Eventually, there is one, and it's not even the low HP that finds the mark. Izzy on the op delivers good news first. The players start to swarm outside. The Omen stuck backside, concussed. There goes Rose through the smoke, and now Loiter tries to get out, just jumps. Is a reaction, a reflex. But caught in the open, leaving Cruan 1v3. Cage goes out, a drop down into site. Good start. The second player nearly in the sights. But Anima holds on just about. Op saved. 4-3. Eternal Fire will fight back. But I've got to say, even then in a round like this, you have a look at the investments, right? You have Kushner on the Neon ult that came out. Cider using the Sova ult. Admittedly, you have two more, but quite a heavy investment to stop the 4-block run of good form that BBL Pacific had from round 3 to round 6. Both teams will be able to reinvest completely, but this one really is a backbreaker financially for Eternal Fire.
Yeah, it's just a questioning over towards that initial engagement, initial damage over towards A main. Loiter messing around realistically with those TPs, with the Shrouded Step. We've seen it time and time again, wanting to get into that deep wine position, play that trap play with a Paranoia. This time spotted out, tries to TP back into sight, and it's just a lot given away in regards to damage. That means the scale up onto site is a lot more efficient. You have the ult from Kushner X as well, along with Cider X being used into that round. It's just more of giving away those free damage and free health points that you're basically donating in favor of Eternal Fire on a round where it's not necessarily needed. It's an eco round. There's sure the saved Operator and saved Vandal, but everything else, it's down for the count. Damage was the reason Kushner X wanted to get back into it. Rolling Thunder onto site, so these players are going to need the support from CT. Kushner X is going to be scaling up onto site, but it's come back, they're scaling behind them. Double with the Blaze Storm, throwing this back into a more manageable position. Rose gets one, but it's traded easily back out by Cider X, and again, Izzy's over towards main. Spike isn't down, and there's no way back into this round if they just hold their angles, if they play as a team, because it's just an operator. What's the worst that they can do? Line up. It's just not what is going to be expected. It's not going to be given by these players. Although, okay.
How does that not go punished?
At what point do you not let Loiter use the Shrouded Step?
Man, these TPs have been, in some ways, idiotic. Yeah, and in others, interesting. A, it's gone unpunished again.
Yeah, it's
and
that.
B,
it goes unpunished. Like, how do you should not be allowed to get away with it. You have an operator train. You can see where the TP's going. And the fact that that kill wasn't converted, sure, realistically not enough time in the round anyway. But the fact that Loiter's still able to run him down, Ryan. Like, how?
Stun towards main. Wall goes up. I mean, they're very aware of a fast A play. They finally see it, and to be fair to you, there is a lot of damage and not a lot of opportunity. Eternal Fire have been decimated on the site. Comebacks just hit another. Down to 2. Anima, Izzy, both with kills. They're trying to claw back the advantages given to BBL Pacific, but there are just too many guns on this A site to make this push successful. It is 6 on the board for BBL Pacific. This is more like it from them. This is what we expected on Ascent the last time BBL Pacific have been on that defense. It was quite questionable. It's Eternal Fire that have to take a pause and understand, well, things have gotten a little bit harder since the last time we played this map. Maybe we need to sort of rethink our plan. Fast pushes towards A haven't worked. The slow move towards B, like the late lunges left with 10 seconds, just haven't worked either. It does just kind of feel like Summer, no matter the timing, no matter the position, the site, even with mid-control in mind, nothing is sticking right now for the Eternal Fire attack.
And the timeout being taken, 6-3 down. 3 rounds left in the half, so there's still a possibility to bring this back to at least a more manageable scoreline. You're looking at that 5-7. Sure, you can make a conversation. You could get 6-6, but looking at the economy, looking at how well BBL Pacific have been playing this map so far, they're not going to be in any worries about this. Looking at Izzy trying maybe to funnel over an ult orb, over towards the extremities, over towards A or B, get that tour de force online, but that really is the main look towards if you're not going to be full forcing up into this one, which it looks like CyberX might want to be going for that hero rifle. And it just really is looking a little bit scary.
Two people have invested.
This just doesn't look any coordinated. It's last minute investments down to the wire, just bringing out the second rifle for CyberX, Anima on that Guardian, Brave even being forced down to the Stinger. It really does all go down onto this tour de force from Izzy.
Yeah.
Able to get that orb up in main, and it's popped. So it gets a little bit scary in this round. And nothing's seen either over towards B main. You're still going to leave, come back on a deeper angle over towards this position. So if one should be good for one, realistically. Doors closed as well over towards B, so that means, again, that they can put a heavy pressure onto A and play that sort of trap setup and get them onto site in particular. We saw how poorly the split over onto B went in the previous rounds. Comeback wasn't even a factor into that, so it was more of a full retake onto that site.
They know this is a B split as well. The deep smoke gives it all away. They know that someone's going to be encroaching. Comeback holding on the op towards main. This dash could not have been popped at a better time. Missed shot though, and doesn't even use it to get away. Gets owned. Now it's time for the Odin to step up, and BBL Pacific have completely misplayed this stack. Larocque flash into sight, gets stunned up, surely dead to rights. It'll be Kushner that gets the frag. Loiter and Crew and 2v5. And to be honest, we doubted the force buy. It works brilliantly for Eternal Fire, but I can't help but think that even though they've won this round, this isn't off of anything spectacular. This is off of individual mistakes made by the BBL Pacific side. Brave catching Crew and side on. Loiter 1v3. TP close sight. Should have been heard. Will be spotted. The spam through the wall continues. Just waiting to see who will fight who first. Loiter holding out for an engagement. Here in the Neon Dash, the stun goes up. Everyone swings. Really well played in the 3v1 there for Eternal Fire to make it 4. I've got to say, the curiosity side of things still very much there because, as I said, I think that is much on the shoulders of the BBL side.
And that's twice now that they've gone for this setup, having come back on that operator over towards main, having the door closed behind, not necessarily having that heavy stack over towards B in regards to holding the site down or challenging towards mid or B main. The one thing that I'm really just questioning is why is it such a shallow angle for that operator, especially where they had previously 10 seconds before into that round. They had the deep line over deep into main that could have the tiles wrap around as well. So it's more of a questioning why they want to give a lot more free space to Eternal Fire, and then you're left in the situation where Comeback is on an angle where he has to hit that shot. He doesn't have much time to get out of it because, well, the gap to close is a lot smaller than it could have been in previous situations. And sure, the rest of the team fall around him, especially when they get onto site. Rose not necessarily having that chance to really be a factor into that round, and Force Buy for Eternal Fire works out. Conversion off the back of the timeout, straight back into the round. Again, looking for this B split. Door's not closed this time, and they've stacked a lot more players over towards this site. Larocque in a very committed position. It could be tough to really move him out of it. I say that. I say that. It could be tough.
All right.
Never
Okay.
mind.
Good start for comeback, though, on the defense. Only the single. I think you're asking a lot for that to work out. The smoke goes up towards Boathouse. The flash, unsuccessful. Eternal Fire know that there's going to be a lot of elbow grease needed to clear the backside spot. Loiter hits another 3v2, and all the time this is going on, the rotate is coming in. Cruen's just spotted out the op. That's another player dead. Both players in sight. Cruen has to step up, and I can't say I doubt him. First player spotted. The bomb denied! 8 seconds left. What a shot through the wall. Cruen trying to be a repeat offender of a disgusting headshot. The box planted behind. Cruen mind games as he waits. And will strike thrice towards B. That is a distasteful 1v2. Even the NT spray going down because he knows. Should never have won that round. Such little time. The wallbang forces the plant to come out once more. And Cruen uses that time to close the gap. A really well worked 1v2. Isolating those fights. 7 on the board for BBL Pacific. And all the hard work unwoven in the blink of an eye.
Yeah, you're looking at the entries that Fusion Rex relatively cleanly. No flash was needed, no stun. It generally is just the peak. But looking at Loiter, from the shadows over towards backside, and it's the smoke. Sure, he gets one through. That's great in regards to trying to equalize a little bit more. Left a position in Cruen in that 1v2. But how close was Cruen there? He was so already there on stairs. He was already there to try and deny that plant of the spike on towards site, and it left him in 10 seconds left in the round. It's a 1v1. You can play the mind games and try and make them guess to where you're going because you're the one who is really forcing the issue there. And it's just layers upon layers for BBL Pacific. The first one fall in regards to the initial site take. Loiter's TP to backside lets them hold on a little bit longer. Then heroics from Cruen coming in for the clutch.
Oh, tag up. And a second as well. 3 players knocked down a few pegs in terms of health. That's more like it for comeback. Shallow angle actually being successful. 2 players knocked into the stratosphere. Larocque going to get caught off on short solo. Loiter now required to step up on the site. All sorts of util being burned. I think it goes down to the ult of Cyderex, and that is the case. 4v3. Flash towards heaven. Rose has to turn. And Anima quick to strike off the back of it. Op holding short. Comeback removed. A Cruen 1v4. Look, the 1v2 was impressive, but this just a step too far. It will end 7-5 at the half.
You can even see on the timeline we're starting to get into those closer rounds, more of a back and forth. Equaled it out at a certain point, and you're begging the question of that 6-3, are we going to see a heavy dominant side coming in from the side of BBL Pacific? But Eternal Fire did really well to get themselves back into this game, and well, realistically the half 7-5 on your 5 down in regards to your attacking, you're not necessarily that worried about it. More of the fact that you're looking at that composition, it's pretty attacker sided in the sense you have Q-X on the Neon, Anima on the Breach, and then Izzy's not necessarily the sentinel of Chamber that you tend to look towards for that heavy stopping, right? So there's going to be a lot more heavy piece. I feel like Izzy's going to go for, similar to what he's doing in this pistol, wanting to take the initiative and be that round changer, because realistically you can get a free engagement with this TP as well. So I think that's going to be important to note, and comeback is just comeback's in heaven.
That is honestly a really nice pistol call from BBL Pacific. I'll come back to it in a second. The TP nearly jukes out the entirety of BBL Pacific, but it's brave against 3. And Loiter drops the paranoia on short. You mentioned how comeback was in heaven. It was a straight dash in towards the tree area. Gets the kill, moves up into heaven. Sight's theirs. And they've got all the control in the world. Brave going to try and isolate fights. Cruen sits under. Just the first point of contact. It's the information that is so valuable. Try and displace these attacking players. But the site will be defended with might. It is BBL Pacific up to 9 here on Ascent. Or 8, sorry. I tell a lie. 8 here on Ascent. But could be a 9th. Because this defensive side should be an eco. Yeah.
Yeah, and like you said, looking at that flash over towards short, comeback had no intention of looking towards site. It was so dedicated. Short, the close left was clear, close right was clear, but he had no intention of competing with those players on main. That's why I was a little bit scared of in the pre-round. You saw they were lining up for that short take, and with 3 players stacked over towards that main side, going for the main piece, you're a little bit, okay, this could go wrong. They could get sandwiched in the sense of they've already lost the player on main. Tree can just be sort of laser focused for the defenders, and well, sure, Tree can be laser focused, but Heaven was not. Straight in and a lot of space gathered, and it gives them the opportunity to really crunch down on those defenders. You have a threat from main, a threat from short, and a threat from Heaven 10 seconds into the round, Brian.
Util being deployed. Classic can't find a thing. Brave was in a position where maybe could penalise one of those rifles. It's spike plant. It's a surefire 9th. And now it's the classic second round maneuver. Die to the spike, give no ult orbs, give no kills away. And just wind this one down to be yours through and through. It is a devastating scoreline. And a no-scope even from comeback. Straight to the back of the head of Kushner. Last 2 on short. Marshall still goes looking. Still drawn as a sidearm basically here. No scope hits. Oh my word, comeback! I know the players without shields. 1 shot to the body enough. But just such quick reflexes. All without a scope. And that is some valuable ult orbs for comeback. I think 4 in the round if I'm not mistaken. Those jet knives are going to come up at a point where if they lose the bonus, it can really be a round changer. Only 2 away. Yeah, 2. That's it.
Desperation for Eternal Fire. Izzy bringing that operator. Glass cannon, no shields, no utility either to speak of. Didn't even necessarily have the trip. I know we were talking about the chamber, not necessarily the sentinel you're looking for the stopping power, but it was at least something. All eggs in one basket, looking over towards Izzy, over towards mid. This has to be the round differential for the side of Eternal Fire. Good for the first. TP's out, so that's at least something. Although, Rose has started exploring up. I don't think they're ready for him this quickly. Anima has been tasked with holding towards that marker position. Free take from Izzy over towards A, and one through the smoke. This is what we needed from the side of Eternal Fire.
Cruen's found one back, and as you mentioned, Rose yet to activate in middle. Smoke goes out. Izzy gets the line of sight. Anyone here? I'm expecting something towards B. The KO moving that way as well. But they don't want to over-rotate. They don't want to over-gamble.
When does Rose play? That's the question, right? You can hear players rotating over. Does he play off this sound call from Brave and Q-Shrex? Even though Izzy's going to be holding, he's considering it. He's going for it. Izzy, another big kill into this round, and that's also information for the rest of the BBL Pacific players that at least 2 players have already crossed over towards this CT side, but not going to be any sort of chance back into the round unless we can see some crazy headshots. Keisha just playing with his food. Although he's making a meal out of it, an opportunity. 10 seconds on the round, but no, shut down by Siderex. You can see the glimpses of a round being slipped away there for the side of Eternal Fire, but a 6 is secured.
Yeah, it's a good one to win. Must admit, though, that it doesn't come without your heart falling into your stomach a bit more. Izzy with some really nice impact in this round, but the fact that it's a 1v4 ending in a 1v2, scary stuff. Nice little read, as you mentioned, from Izzy in middle, allowing his teammates to cross. Just making sure, okay, you guys left to defend. I'll hold the mid push. Rose thought that the timing was good, but was gravely mistaken. And now heading into round 16. It's a chance for both either to close the gap or extend it back out.
Come back on this line. Gonna have that operator head-to-head. Who's gonna be the quickest to the trigger? It's the Jet winning over. Something a similar engagement we saw actually on the opposite side when Izzy had that tour de force over towards short. You had a similar head-to-head. A little bit of revenge for comeback there. That's going to call the spike over. 2 initiators to hold this position, and a lot of information gathered by BBL Pacific with that neural theft. Cruent gathering a lot of information. A lot of delay though here available for Anima. 1 flash left.
Oh, blinded. So blind in the smoke. Laroc finds it. Comeback gets another. All on Brave. Nice shot. But can't adjust to the main swing. And it is 10 on the board for BBL Pacific. 3 away from going 2-0 up in this BO5 series.
And just thinking about this BO5 series, right? This isn't the be-all end-all for these teams this week. There is another match day tomorrow. There is a team, Tulpars Supermassive, waiting for them in that in the grand finals, which is also a BO5. And you want to get this over as quickly as possible, as cleanly as possible, just in regards to your preparation for tomorrow. Because, well, they're going to be watching in the sidelines. You don't necessarily want to show too much of your map pool, too much of your depth, because you bet your bottom dollar that they're going to be watching, that they're going to be looking to what maps they want to order in the prioritization in this BO5, because 5 maps will be through in the veto. Are they going to stick to a permaban? Are they floating that 7 map pool possibly? Second Eternal Fire timeout now. There was a conversion on the last, but this one, Tour de Force available, sure. 2k on CyberX, similar to Animo's already bought into that Sheriff. Houston Rex is realistically the only one with enough funds in the bank, possibly wanting to save that over into the next. Are we going to see a Force Rifle? With side of BBL Pacific, they're going to be pretty comfortable in this one. Economy starting to build up. Lowest you got is Cruin, who's had to drop over to a teammate. Rock one away from his ultimate, so you can see possibilities of this round beginning to get pretty explosive.
Well, good start for the defense. Stinger gets a cheap one. Continuing to push in towards the site, or at least make the assumption that, or at least make the fake that they were looking to target A. The Spike making its way back around. The Cypher basically becomes the entry now and gathering the early info towards B main. A couple of defenders to stand in their way. One on a Sheriff that sits up close, the other on a Classic in spawn. Trying to look for the information there, Cruin, but can't find much now. The bodies pile up. Now they'll get ready to try and siege the site. The flash unsuccessful to blind much. Cruin's going to flip the switch before anything gets too dangerous on the rotates. The stun has hit both. Cider gets one with the Classic. Knives return to comeback, and Cruin finds the second. It's now a 3v3. Caught with the trip. Houston are getting brought right back into the jaws of comeback. It's a crazy way to go. And now in the 2v3, the KO ult being deployed. It's just going to push these players back. Brave can't use any utility. And Izzy sits passive with the Tour de Force. Actually removed. Can't afford to bring it up just yet. Will finally get hands back on the sniper, but comeback opt quicker to the trigger. It's all on the half HP Omen, and comeback will take 4. It is 11 on the board for BBL Pacific, and that's from the 4v5, the regroup in B, and just the siege of the site results in success.
And you've just got to love the ultimate as well from the KO of BBL Pacific. You know the remaining 2 players, they're not going to have the best weaponry, especially if one of them is coming in with that Tour de Force. That's going to be the main factor of that retake. Shuts it down, delays it even more, allows comeback to be more solid on this angle. That's just, if you don't hit that, it's just an absolute sit-up. Knives out for the final one, and I was talking about whether he's going to have the same or similar impact on this jet as we saw as the Neon and previous maps on Pearl, on Haven, and I think he's already answered that enough for us. It's definitely something for Eternal Fire that they need to be concerned about. Especially if you can't close out kills like that. That was the perfect opportunity to bring the round in favour of you to get that 4v5.
Moving in. Hunter's Fury deployed, the defense getting some information, but it's the pair of eyes that have to deliver. CyberX eventually collects the Omen, and speaking of, Brave in the back of sight hits another. CyberX returns, and it's a decent hold of sight. 2v2 falls in favour of Eternal Fire. The saying does go better late than never, but the question is there ever the chance that Eternal Fire can win this map? It's every round from here on out summer that they need to close in regulation. Can afford one mistake if they can close out in OT. Any more, they're 0-2 down and playing the BBL Pacific map pick next.
Yeah, and look at this. This really is the TP into the back of site. Brave able to pick up 2. Sure, Sidex gets the final cross from main over towards lane, but you can't, the repeatability of that is just not there. You don't have the Omen ultimate every round. You can't reinforce B that way. So instead they decide to, well, reinforce middle. They have all of mid. They've corralled them into B, but this also depends on your anchors being able to live up to their weight, get more than one at least, but Anima's only good for the kill onto Loiter. Sure, that's your smoke stand, that's your Omen player gone. When they've got the site, you even have Rose over towards main. 1 kill and you can see that Hunter's Fury being popped off. Nothing really to work with for the side of Eternal Fire. There's no utility. Sure, the recon might be coming back online soon for Siderex. There it is, and a couple of Paranoia and TPs for Brave, but that's about it. They really have to take these isolated 1v1s, and it's no utility to do it. Rose in the backline. Brave gets 1 burst, insta-traded back out by the player left on site. Izzy. No way back into this, only going for the exits, trying to do as much damage as possible. Good for 1. Just wants to hold on to this operator, and it's not even able to do that.
And it's another map point. And we thought that maybe Ascent was going to be a little more in tune with the Eternal Fire side. And while, yes, more rounds than map 1, admittedly, a pretty low bar. They haven't even pushed the bar that much higher. It's 12-7. Can't exactly sit here and say that this map has been competitive. BBL Pacific 1 away from going 2-0 up in this series. And forcing Eternal Fire into a reverse sweep. We'll have to win 3 in a row. And it starts on Split next, which BBL Pacific, not exactly an incompetent team on.
And his Fury out. Corner's not cleared. 1 for Izzy. A second sister from a 3rd as well. Heroics from this chamber player to try and keep this game in the running for a side of Eternal Fire. 4 in the round. Looking for a 5th. Spike down. Site not conceded either. We're talking about, this isn't necessarily your default stance. It's not a hard stopper in regards to utility. But a rifle in this man's hands, and it seems it becomes...
Well, crew in 1v3, wouldn't this be a way to close?
Seen it before.
Poetic almost. But unfortunately, no Shakespeare here. It is done and dusted for round number 19. We move into 20. Eternal Fire get their 8th.
Just based on how expensive some of these rounds are, you might not even see a buy coming in from the side of BBL Pacific. Sure, maybe a half, doing what you can to go into the next. A timeout, possibly to discuss the intentions of these finances. Can you already see LaRock trying to force up onto that Guardian? There's not going to be much left in the tank. At what point do you say we don't need to force this? We're on match point already. We can give them 9. Play to try and get as many of these ultimates off them as possible. Like Izzy's 1 away from that tour de force, seeing how impactful he can be with the scoped weapon. Anima, Rolling Thunder to stop these site pushes or to be that real deciding factor in the retakes. There's really not necessarily much that you can really make the case for the side of BBL Pacific. Sure, there's 3 ultimates, but only 1 that you can see is that really round-winning, round-turning moment. Off the back of it is LaRock's with that null command. You can get onto site, you can really shut down, well, the Sentinel utility, because Izzy's not necessarily that hard Sentinel, so you don't necessarily have these heavy trips that you have to get past, or really horrible bait setups when we saw some teams coming in with the Deadlock Cypher. Sure, you could make a conversation there, and that would be a surefire way to get in and disable that utility. But at the moment, after the timeout, they opted for that more conservative buy. Only Sheriffs in this round, wanting to play for the next. Not that they're not going to try the very best to win this. You can even see the ultimate being held out by Anima. If they can get this offline, could be very nice into the 3rd.
Look at the damage. The ult has just thrown everyone into the stratosphere. Eternal Fire, sick defense. And I said 7 wasn't much of an improvement, but I'm starting to get inspired by how they conduct themselves on the defense. Really nice ult usage from Anima. Everyone able to swing out and use it to some avail. And BBL Pacific stuck at 12 for a couple of rounds now. And it has been Eternal Fire through and through. But the question is, can they live it up for another 3?
And can they live it up in a rifle round? That's why I was talking about how important and how valuable, sure, Eternal Fire got around, and it was a great ult from Anima, but it was against pistols. BBL Pacific, they're going to be happy that they were able to get that away by just the silent nuke, scale up mid, and then just popping out of market. This is going to be the real test for Eternal Fire. If they lose this one, BBL's money is still going to be likely forced onto those weaker weapons in the next. You're looking at that 10-11 scoreline, one away from bringing this into overtime as well. Similar sort of approach this round, popping out of market. Flashes, though, to assist this one. Larocque's going to put his name on the list first, taking down Customer X. Side X to follow. Anima holding on for backside, but it's not for long. Cruin gets the information on the last 2 as well. Izzy's so far away, and look where Loiter is. Is this going to be expected? He's looking towards it. The aim of the Omen's true.
And there we have it. 2-0 in the series. Eternal Fire now bested in their home turf. And we move back to BBL's Pacific's map pick next. It is Split. And as I said, I felt a bit inspired at the tail end of that map there, Summer. I thought that there was a chance that Eternal Fire could turn things around. And the way they played in sort of the final few moments of that map, had that have been through and through, I think this map maybe even goes Eternal Fire's way. A close affair, but no cigar, and it's now on to Split to see if BBL Pacific will take this in 3, or if there is any fight left for Eternal Fire. We will see if they are Eternal after the break. Don't go anywhere.
Heroes. They're made of actions. They know how to win. They're out of this world. You know them. Be one today. Get serious. Be the story to be told. All you need is dedication, perfection, precision, a winning attitude. Become one with your duo and embrace the monster in you. Tulpar for serious.
You don't believe the hype, so we stick to performance. You're not buying off the shelf, so we create for the off and running. You deliver ambitious builds, unrivaled gaming, and untethered creativity. We develop products that do the same. Crucial Memory and Storage offers high-performance solutions for maximizing your potential. For the tech-savvy, the tech-rookie, and the technically, I'm just getting started. Because wherever your drive is taking you, it's also taking us.
welcome back in, ladies and gents. We have ourselves our third map of this series. It is a mega one, to be honest with you, because I think both of our expectations, we head into this series thinking, okay, we're going to have something quite a bit competitive. We saw what happened when these two played each other just a couple of days ago, right? In the opening game, BBL Pacific, sure, took it 2-0. But I think what's really valid to note is that, yeah, sure, Pearl one-sided, Haven 15-13, and we thought, okay, a very close map. It was Sunset destined for third. How's that going to go? And now that we're heading into this lower bracket BO5, we've played two maps. Pearl was a 13-3, Ascent's a 13-9. We head on to Split next to see if Eternal Fire even have any life in this series. They're 0-2 down. Losing this eliminates them from the tournament. I'm not the biggest fan.
And Split as well, this isn't necessarily a map that they tend to let float either. They prioritise, obviously, they're more of that insta-ban as the first. They haven't actually played Split as this full 5 under the Eternal Fire name at all. And the side of BBL Pacific, you can make the argument that they've played it a couple of times in the whole year. There's 2 times that they've played it, but one of them has been very recent with the full 5, because obviously you had that roster change coming in at the start where they brought crewing back in to play with Rose, and it's more of the team that they were able to defeat on this map was in a 13-6 fashion against VCT champions with, well, some of the best off-season players that we've seen that on, well, inside that T1 bracket. Like, you have Alexic, Monster, Stars XO, Bold, and Pyrol. They're the players that you are looking at being strong, and, well, Eternal Fire definitely put the right foot forward, at least at the start, but it's answered back straight away by 2 kills on both extremities of this map by your Sky player and your Cypher. Crewing doubles it up. And that's going to be a call for the rotate over. Again, looking at this comp, Ryan, what's your opinion of the BBL Pacific's comp? It's the same one that they run against VCT champions, by the way.
Yeah, well, I mean, tried and tested is going to be the name, isn't it? And I think, for what it's worth, it's not exactly going to be an easy time defending against a comp like this one, right? Like, you've got a lot of Eternal Fire players that are quite aggressive. We know Izzy isn't the Sentinel chamber player, more of an initiator, entry, and not scared of taking fights. I think, you know, Ciderex on the Breach going to be sort of comboed quite nicely with Kushina. Like, this comp is destined to be an attacker-sided comp, but just as much as BBL is set to be good on the defense. And if BBL Pacific have already started on the right foot, winning this pistol, Eternal Fire are going to need some people stepping up on this defense, because if it falls dry again, we've learned previous 2 maps, BBL Pacific will take it to a place where it is irrecoverable.
Just looking at what we saw previously of BBL Pacific, again, we haven't really got anything to look at for the side of Eternal Fire, of this roster on this map in particular. Nothing that is any inch of being in the recent times. But the BBL Pacific game, they actually split the pistols with VCT champions, but it was on the attacking side that they went actually, well, 6-1. So out of the 7 rounds played, won 6 of them. And with a very similar comp to what we can see Eternal Fire bringing in, they didn't have that double controller, they had the double initiator. But it's the similar sort of thing, you're looking at that composition to be decent on the defense. And, yeah, well, BBL Pacific were able to really find the roots of the gaps. Team Flash going in, so Korean's not actually able to capitalize off of that space gained. Come back. I hate this wall, I really do, over towards B main. LaRock's not gonna commit to the up and over.
It's just a way in. Appreciate the safe passage, Summer. That isn't so safe for Brave. Still moving in. Nicely done from Rose. Second for LaRock with the Bulldog. Crewing with the last. And a quick mop up for BBL Pacific towards B. Nicely done. 2 out of 2. It's the defense that now get the rifles, though, and their chance to springboard their way back in.
Now we're in. Again, gives a headshot angle as well over towards the Heaven Peak. That was just a little bit of unlucky timing for comeback, just as the smoke drops, just before the wall goes up. Rock on a swivel here. Complete 180 to get that second kill. Izzy wants to take aggression into this one. Cybercage will note him, at least one player pretty close. Trip going to be spotted over towards Heaven as well. That should be dealt with by Comeback pretty soon. It's looking claustrophobic over towards Heaven, Ryan, with all these smokes and utility. Comeback's being put down to such low HP. Finally dealt with Houston X.
Ideal as the bodies continue to fall, but it's all for BBL Pacific. Izzy gets another. Cruin 1v5. This would be some good news to deliver. Any damage would have been nice, but falls at the first hurdle. Cider X quick to distract and take down. Well worked round one for this defending side. So at least a better start, Summer, in the second half of things. Or rather, in the defensive side of things, in the first half.
And it's just talking about that third round, because we weren't even seeing those being converted in the previous maps. It was pretty solid domination from BBL Pacific in the early rounds of the half. It was towards the end where we were starting to see that back and forth go in. So hopefully, when the tournament life's on the line, Eternal Fire might have a little bit more oomph, more bark behind the bite that they're giving, and that is exactly what Rose does over towards main. Trade back over. Smokes for smokes. But the issue is Anima is there as that secondary controller for the side of Eternal Fire, but it doesn't matter if the site's going to fall. Rose gets a second for in the round. Korean even finds an attempted flank. And a lot of information as well gathered over. So that should be a safe plant for the side of BBL Pacific. Rose just taking the timing off the information gathered with that ultimate from Korean. And talking about a clean round from Eternal Fire in the previous, this was just instantly answered back, Ryan.
Yeah, and in a pretty easy way as well, right, for BBL Pacific. It doesn't feel like they have to lift their finger up much to take the B site away, and from there, as you can see, it was all about information, time swings, smart gathering, and a free round to make it 3 on the board for the attack. 2-0 up in this series. If you're only just joining us, you've missed the first 2 hours of what has been a pretty one-sided series. If you're a BBL Pacific fan, I think a pretty easy watch for Eternal Fire. Then only 3 in a row in terms of maps to head to that grand final tomorrow of our close qualifier.
Just going through the motions in the previous and in this one, unfortunately, the mid lurk doesn't necessarily go as well for Rose this round. So Korean being the one who's able to capitalize on those timings the most. And I do like this smoke that Brave's putting out. It's sort of that pseudo one-way. It's not necessarily super strong. Well, it doesn't put it out this round, actually. But the first one, you get such early information. As soon as someone starts to push out, you see the legs and the toes first. So that's an early warning sign. So it's not necessarily that super hard one-way. Grant calling the troops back over to A. Not wanting to explore into B any further. Brave just cycling those smokes over towards main. They already know Anima's over towards Heaven. Izzy was towards mid with that operator. It's just going to be the timings and whether how much impact Korean can have over towards this Heaven position. But it's a solo player holding a stun and a peek from Cider X.
Nicely done. Cider, Anima both with kills, and well, got a bit of a pendulum game here for map 3. Split pistol conversion for BBL Pacific. Since then, the back and forth saga not giving up on us. Interesting. Very, very interesting. Early timeout for BBL Pacific.
I understand it. Not wanting to let this go. They have that opportunity to have this final back, but if they lose this one, it's going to be pretty detrimental. Like, there's no smoke. Just a smoke over towards Deep CT. You're not expecting a player to go so aggressive. And honestly, it really is the heroics of Cyrax in that round. You got the stun, you have self-serving utility left, right, and center, the flash towards heaven to delay crewing, and really just looking at that player, like how for the side of BBL Pacific has he been able to get away with that? They didn't have comeback to nade elbow, so that denies that peak. There was no slows on LaRock either towards that angle, so it was more inviting that engagement for the side of BBL Pacific, and it was not shut down at all. You had no satchels on. Well, you'd had no comeback either to satchel into sight to really displace any sort of crosshair placement. Rose didn't have that trailblazer either, so it really was just those heads-up gunfights. And when you have Cyrax, who hasn't had any sort of engagement, no utility baited at all in the entire round, able to self-serve some pretty easy frags with the utility. Will this be cleared? Sure, even if Izzy doesn't necessarily get the kill, the TP out sound call will be heard, but he's going to see both. Brave, unfortunately, has not got that rendezvous to get out and dodge. Izzy, it doesn't even help him that much anyway.
Spike down, Loiter finding Anima. And it is a 2v5. Summer, it's so quick out of this BBL Pacific side. The cameo appearances from individuals just winning rounds, chipping away. Admittedly, one back for Eternal Fire, but that's when the round's already been and done. Spike will go off. No attempt at a retake. And it should be a pretty swift gathering for BBL Pacific's lead.
If you think back to the start of these rounds, right, it wasn't necessarily off the back, as in like 3 seconds into the round they're already out onto A or out onto B. They do have that sort of defaulting of getting the original space, like you saw the pickup smokes over towards B main, just to be able to get into that safe space, because they're aware of a possibility and a tendency from Izzy to really prioritize that operator, whether it's a glass cannon, no other util, or if it is on those full bats. You can even see him going for it now. Sure, a little bit of util to bolster it up, but no shield. So that should be in the back of the mind of these BBL Pacific players. But as soon as they go out, they get that original kill, it snowballs from there. So the entry is so important, because you look back to round 5, where Comeback wasn't able to get that entry. It halted BBL Pacific so suddenly. They lose the player over towards mid and then it forced to walk out into the stun of the player on A. That was the round. LaRock dealing with Izzy. Unfortunately, it is just a headshot straight to the dome. That you're not necessarily worrying about losing, not having that armor, and like, oh, if I saved it, it would have been fine. But no. And now, to be tested, Brave, both controllers over towards this site. A Viper's only available on this walk-in, so it should be dropped pretty soon over towards main. It's not going to do anything. It's not going to do anything, Ryan.
LaRock. And even the res afterwards as well. Salt in the wound maybe. Comeback gets taken down, so the res isn't going to be useless. It just maintains that 3-man advantage they held. Cruin finds the last. It is 5 out of 7 for the BBL Pacific attack. They are looking good here at the beginning of our third map. And what could be our last?
And I think we just need to reiterate, this could be the last map we see of Eternal Fire, not only today, not only in this bracket, but in the whole tournament. This is do or die for them right now. And you can see the layering of util. Sure, you see the Viper trying to assist from heaven, puts the molly over the wall. There's too many players to target. Sure, it does a lot of chip damage, but you have a Sky being able to heal them up. You even have a Sage there available as well. Gets the res off. And then, as soon as you look towards to deal with the players towards site, you have Cruin jumping up in heaven and hitting a ghastly shot on the player rotating in. Cyrax wasn't necessarily ready for that one. Viper's Pit, though, this round. Stinger in hand, ulted over towards mid, so this should be at least a point of contention that they want to fight for, that they want to hold. But should they go in with the dog, this can be followed up pretty quickly upon. No information. Now you can see the DK coming in. LaRock really wanting to risk it for a chocolate biscuit there, and that should be a rifle to be recovered. for Anima if they do so wish. Obviously, Izzy on that tour de force over towards A, but Loiter's managed to find the player back on B site. No wall though, so they have to be worried about this swing through the push through the smoke.
Oh, towards site. Satchels just keep getting used. Who wants to peek in? No one gives Kushner the time of day. Kruin will move through the Viper's pit. Anima quick to shut down. It's the third of the round. Nade goes out. Kushner now spotted. Flash to bear the corner. The gong isn't heard, so now they know that Kushner's tucked away. That U-tilt just denying the plant, and more importantly, forcing Rose back. Still blind, and Kushner will eventually swing, but Anima will take 4. And with that, Eternal Fire up to a third.
A nice flash as well. You can see how utterly blinded that player was over towards the backside. This is where it gets a little bit interesting. The continued pressure over towards mid. Understand that you're possibly looking for that timing for crewing, but you're sending your Sage in. The dog has been destroyed. Nothing has been cleared, and it's more of that. Well, with 5-2 up, may as well try something a little bit more risky. Ultimate down now for Anima, but that also brings online Cider X's. Biffy's the player over towards A, being so out of the action. I think he's right to say, and he's just being used in this utility as a self-serving. Might just be for that site take, not really being able to get capitalized on anyone else but him. Unless they go for the retake, because you can see him playing over towards that elbow position. You can get out pretty quickly. It's just whether with BBL Pacific this time they have the raise for the entry, nade, and satchels available if he's going to get the chance to really have those heroics yet again.
Well, that's going to be an ult used towards site, but quickly dismissed by Rose. Kruin holding the tag up to Izzy. Not a kill, but a bit of extra damage goes a long way. Comeback getting caught by Kushner. And actually, this has turned into a pretty disappointing round for BBL Pacific. They had the number advantage. They tried to fight in towards heaven. The damage to represent what had been done isn't even that good. The remaining 3, though, all at 70 HP. Kruin going to hear some steps above. Loiter to take first contact. The Cypher also spotted in this. Kushner just stuck between the wall. It's a funnel into sight. Kushner still delivering. Rose, 85 points of health. And a great shot, in fact, from Kushner has just basically caused calamity for BBL Pacific. A 4K in the round, and that will be the 4th for Eternal Fire. The gap continues to shrink, and the opportunities continue to open up.
And it's nice to see the confidence is not dwindling on the side of Eternal Fire. They're ready to fight you, whether that's early into the round or at a point where you're in a 1v1 situation. You haven't even tapped the spike, you're faking going towards the backside, like, do you know what? No, I can take this head-on gunfight. An easy sit onto a Larocque. Whereas the one over towards the end, it's this little bit of a miscommunication from Korean, expecting the player to have already dropped. Yeah, just goes towards elbow. Rory's caught with a flash in hand.
Back going for Brave. Good
That's
start
the smoke.
yet again.
That's the smoke I was talking about, Ryan. You can see the toes as well on the original cross into the site, but as soon as main's compromised, you can see them walking through. But that's a flash and a half out through mid. Anima caught completely blindside, but Kushner acts over towards Heavens, ready for the trade. Attackers split up. Key gunfight going in, and it's the timing that does not work out for Kushner. X, a paranoia comes through, but it's not being capitalized on again. This is a 3v2. They know it plays over towards main. You're even going to use the dog to rat out that position. Are we going to plant safe? Goes for a risky plan open to heaven, which they've subsequently given up. And at this point, you're looking at possibilities to isolate these 1v1s. Side is there for the trade, and there's an operator on the angle. It's the first test. Falls at the first hurdle. And equals this back up to a 5-5 scoreline, Ryan. This is not exactly what we were expecting when we were looking at it as well. It was 5-2.
No, you are right. It was a pretty one-sided game, and I think between us we both thought, oh god, here we go again. You know, this is just going to be an embarrassment for the side of Eternal Fire. Instead, the defense has really come into its own. It's started to take shape. We're seeing some pretty successful rounds out of them. I think the question now to be answered is, BBL Pacific, are they even going to walk into this second half with an advantage?
This isn't necessarily the best round to do it with either. Sure, we've got rifles across the board, Guardian and on LaRock, but for the side of Eternal Fire, they have everything they could ask for and more. Operator, full armor on Izzy, full utility across the board. Showstopper as well. Should the need arise, Houston Rex pops it out now. Good for one, but a lot of damage. 8 HP. You could almost see Loiter being able to trade themselves in that position. No res available either. 2 away for LaRock. And a lot of players on both sides over towards this position. Over the wall. LaRock taking this round into his own hands. Houston Rex isolated over towards default, but Brave going to be cleared. He's good for one, Ryan.
Any more? Well, there's a start for Kushner as well. LaRock 1v3. And the answer, if BBL Pacific will have an advantage, relies on LaRock to clutch up. We'll only find the one. And it will be, at best, a tie game at the half for BBL Pacific. A really disappointing downturn for them. Because it could have been a one-sided half. It could have been something spectacular instead. They have completely fallen short of the mark.
You saw glimpses back into that round, but a couple of well-timed peaks from the sides of the Eternal Fire anchors. And yeah, just look at that sort of timeline, Ryan. We were at a 5-2 position, and most of those rounds weren't even realistically contested from the side of Eternal Fire, and completely off the back of a crazy round from Houston Rex, a lovely 4K, they've managed to put a string of rounds together to not only just equalise, but take the advantage and secure, like you said, at minimum, an equal half. And, well, Comeback has decided that's enough. That's enough of the antics of Eternal Fire. I'm going to get my double entry similar to previous rounds. We saw how oppressive they can be over towards B. And look, the Cosmic Divide down. Sure, they have Heaven, they have CT, but there's 5 players waiting. Resurrection even online for LaRock. So this round, without the misstep of BBL Pacific players and overheats and overpeaks, we should be seeing an equal half.
Should be is the key word, though. Good start for Izzy. Spike continues to tick. Slowly maneuvering in, Kruin gets another. Enema can't find anything, and now it is all on Izzy, op in hand. You can see the gun barrels just peeking around the corner. The bait in for the 6-6 half. BBL Pacific now on that defense. We mentioned how they're more fine-tuned to this half summer, so we'll have to see how that one fares in the grand scheme of things. And if the first half is going to be worse than the second.
I mean, talking about both of these teams, not necessarily being on the stronger side, you're looking at the composition for BBL Pacific, you're looking at, okay, you got the double Sentinel, sure, Sage, might not necessarily call it as a super hard stopping Sentinel, but a Sentinel nonetheless. You're looking at them to really be able to bring the round leads on that defensive side. So they're coming over from the attack. The fact that they've gotten 6, they might very well be looking at that. Oh, that's pretty good. This is the defender side of the map. We've got a defender sided comp, and we've at least had that equal scoreline. But the same to be said for the side of Eternal Fire. Look at the composition in how fast we can get onto site with these pops, with the breach stuns, and also Kushner X on that raise, and the double lurks possibility of Anima Izzy. It's always going to be in the back of the mind of the BBL Pacific players. There's a trip going to be dealt with pretty early on. A flash out. Kill found. Double even on the way out. And similar to what we were seeing from BBL Pacific, as soon as they got the site, there was not really much of a say coming back into it. LaRock's definitely not going to get one, and it's all now onto the shoulders of Comeback. A 1v5 required, Ryan. Likelihood of this happening?
0. And Brave
Confirmed.
will make that reality. It is Eternal Fire that strike first on this second half. And we've thrown a lot of ifs into the equation for Eternal Fire. You know, if you can start the second half with a pistol, if you can do this, maybe there's a comeback to be talked about. This time, the statement wasn't, you know, if you win the pistol, there's half a chance of you getting back into this game. It's, you are now the step ahead. You are the team leading in score. And it's BBL Pacific forced to take the eco. Thinking about 8-6. Developing that scoreline even further. This is the first time that BBL Pacific have had to fight for a map from being behind.
The stress again isn't on their shoulders, Ryan. With 3 maps into this now, 2 in favour of BBL Pacific already. Pressure going to be on Eternal Fire. Not being felt by the sides just yet in this round. 2 quick and easy and clean kills over towards mid. That's going to be the scaling up over towards B. And they even have that animal look over towards A as the backstab. Comeback might get caught out by it. It does, and now it's all down to the classic players. Loiter is the sole defender of B, yet to be tested, yet to see anyone. Look, good for a little bit of damage. Talking about a little bit of damage, it's good for 2.
Wow. This is a scary amount of damage. I know that this round is still going to be Eternal Fire's. It's so obvious. Loiter are just not going to win this round, and the Vandal will eventually end it. But that's 2 kills worth of damage too much for my liking, Summer. I think those rounds designed to be kept clean, designed to be kept normal. No way should the attacking force be losing a couple of weapons.
But they're also designed to lose people, right? Especially when we're looking at that buy coming in. Cider X and Anima came in with only Ghosts, so realistically you're keeping those the heavy weapons that you're coming into it. So looking at the bite, like this just looks like a normal gun round, Ryan. But to note, come back with that Outlaw in hand. A lot of the players on the side of Eternal Fire, particularly both Brave, Izzy, Anima, and Cider X, are all going to be vulnerable to that 140 body shot. So that's have to be kept in the back of your mind, especially when we see any sort of rotates over towards A or shifts in the defense, because currently the only person under threat possibly is Anima if he decides to step forward. And again, the point to contention, Ryan, is over towards this mid position. A lot of utility has been prioritized to trying to clear this space out, or also back off that attacking side. LaRock's wall's already gone. The slows have already gone. Possibility of a flash out of the smoke. You can see Rose is toying with the idea.
It's all about playing a passive game now, Summer. Look at the clock, right? There's 40 seconds left. Eternal Fire have no rope control. They have no heaven control. Not even B main presence is something that Eternal Fire have desired, so just winding down those seconds is critical. LaRock, first to be dug 6 feet under. Not a good start for this defense. The crumble towards B is definitely imminent. It's whether or not this defense can deny. A tag up, a great start for Cruan, who fights 2, Rose with a 3rd. The fight from heaven ensues for the sky, but it's all about those seconds I was previously mentioning. Bravelo, Anima tagged. And there you have it, a great shot and a great round for BBL Pacific to respond in. 8-7. And no one willing to give up on this 3rd map of 5.
And the sniper with the Trailblazer of Rose from Heaven, I hope you can see it in the replay. This is a nice off angle for Rock, but just unaware that his shoulder's peeking out. Corinne really just ensued so much distraction, allowing Rose to slip through and get that 2nd kill over towards Heaven. But look, Anima has been stunned on this position from a Trailblazer that started in like a safe position deep in Heaven. So that was a pretty incredible snipe, and I come back into that round, especially after losing the first player, losing a lot of space towards mid without really necessarily any aggression to be that reactionary force against it. There is still a buy here for Eternal Fire. Cider X is going to be on the weak weapon. A showstopper miss towards spawn.
And now look at all this util just being burnt out. Brave TPs into Cruan. Down to 3. The cage is there. They've got all the info to just spam right through. And BBL Pacific not allowing Eternal Fire an inch of sight control. One more in main, spotted by Comeback on the retreat. Little bursts through that Astra smoke. Anima trying to return the favour, wondering maybe the flank is something that is to be desired for this defence, and Rose is already waiting in the wings. The concuss forcing the Viper forward, and it is 8-8. BBL Pacific putting it into 6th gear here in map 3.
Realistically, the only reason we're seeing such a close game now, especially coming into this half, is the pistol. It's the fact that Eternal Fire were able to get the pistol, were able to at least get the advantage coming into this one. Again, just a reminder for everyone, this was a 6-6 half after a dominant start from the side of BBL Pacific. And a little bit of a turnaround. It's the pistol that's really kept Eternal Fire in the game. So this timeout needs to be converted off the back of. But the only issue is there's not really much for the coaches or for the IGLs to really chime in with in regards to weaponry. The money's pretty low. The ult's not necessarily there for anyone realistically. Q's and Rex used theirs in the previous. Sheriffs, light armor. Make a conversation about Brave going crazy in this round, having an ultimate into spawn and catching everyone off guard, but that also requires some missteps from BBL Pacific, and it's looking like a surefire way to a 9th round, bringing back the lead after realistically letting it slip in the first half. And again, more power ultimates for the side of BBL Pacific really coming online. Astra, Cosmic Divide, 1 away. You have Showstopper a couple away, looking to come online in the next round. Even Rose, Seekers 2 away. A shift in setup as well. A deep wall of Larocque over towards B main. That means the mid pressure that they were feeling so heavily in the last couple has 3 players ready to pop out of smokes. Flashes in hand as well, but this time it's the A that's under contention. Comeback is just on that long angle, good for 2. Eventually falls, but that weapon's not even going to be recoverable either, so that's definitely a positive for the side of BBL Pacific. That is not, though. That is not, Ryan.
No. Giving up 2 guns, one in which in Brave's hands. Timing, does not favour Rose. Try to slip. Straight into the corner, try and catch by surprise. Flash goes round the corner, the blind is good. And now sending the dog to see if any ankles can be bitten at. The flash goes wide, Rose getting caught out. 1v1's offered, 30 seconds. Brave has the ult, bear that in mind. Could just TP to B, take the spike, go with. That'll be the case. But backs towards A.
Cruin's ready.
Gun out. Oh, he's so ready. That's so disgusting from Cruin. Should never expect something like this. Just thought that the dart towards B was going to happen. Larocque cancelled out a lot of the repositions that the Omen could have made. And so, no, look, either he's got a mega timing on me in spawn, or he's just going to come right back to A. And that's the case. That's what wins them the round. But this one getting a little too out of control for the BBL Pacific side. Eternal Fire with some good damage.
Yeah, and it's not as if you haven't seen the Omen at all, and he could have lurked out B, is able to grab the spike. No time to make it over to either bomb site. So opts to use it from spawn, tries to double back, and right into the waiting arms of Cruin on at that Cypher. Larocque is just boosted on these walls. He's becoming a menace, honestly. Same goes with some of the TPs we've seen from Loiter. Seems like this is the time for Larocque to be a little bit silly. Has caught off Eternal Fire, caught them off guard a couple of times, so maybe they've been a little bit more diligent about the possibility, but also about the possibility of peeking around smoke. So that's 2 needless 1v1s already offered up and capitalized on by Eternal Fire. Is there going to be a third? Surely not.
No. Tapping away. Oh, that's gotta be a 1 fight. Gotta be for Cruin. 2 players remain for BBL Pacific. Eternal Fire have the run of the mill when it comes to picking the side of the map that the spike goes down on. There will be no denial of a ninth. And now, I guess, for the remaining two players, Loiter come back. Just to save Summer, nothing special. Just try and keep the guns, stay in position. Don't offer up these freebies because the likes of Comeback can't really afford to reinvest in the next round. It's everyone else that's dead that can rebuy the Vandal and shields, utility that goes with it.
It's also the fact that it's an operator in hand, right, Ryan? So that's
Yeah.
That's like a sort of a double expense for the side of BBL Pacific. Wanted to bring out into this round. Didn't necessarily have any impact because, well, the kills weren't necessarily offered up. The engagements weren't there for the side of BBL Pacific in the places where they necessarily wanted it. And also keeping this as a secret for as long as possible from the side of Eternal Fire could be useful. Can catch them off guard. In a couple of rounds, they might take too many liberties on clearing certain angles, not being ready for it, flashing off deep angles over towards A, because we saw the peak that Anima took in the previous, taking on that role of the Stifle Lurk. We saw the Korean Anima head-to-head. 50-50 realistically in that gunfight. Both long range, one with a Phantom, one with a Vandal, so you would want to be preferring Korean. But as he falls, that opens up the A site. And here, this is going to be a pivotal engagement. This operator now taking that aggressive line into mid. It's going to be the operator head-to-head. The jump peak has been seen. Izzy wants to get onto the angle as soon as possible. He does. He falls. But it's a raise for raise trade out. That's so many players as well spotted over towards mid. Anima's managed to nestle his way into A main. The help of his smoke. Slighter has to play 50-50, whether it's coming out onto site or going up towards heaven. Utilizes Rose to try and isolate this gunfight. Rose wasn't ready for it, though.
Dog goes. Seeker's dropped. Rose trying to peek behind them.
What
and
is
then just
happening?
pulls the piece of util out mid-gunfight. Loiter spots the shoulder piece. And somehow Anima expects the second. This is a disastrous round for BBL Pacific. Eternal Fire started to have individuals step up. Anima this time with such an integral double towards A main. And the remaining 30 seconds, head buried in the sand now for BBL Pacific because it's 2 rounds they've converted off of 1v1s and silly mistakes.
Silver Line is an opportunity to save this operator over towards mid. See Current going for it now, but Anima really stepping up, and he's not too shy to go looking for more. Handles the 1v2 situation over towards A with a barrage of utility coming at him. Rose just essentially util dumps the ultimate, the Trailblazer, some flashes as well, and even a possibility that this operator's going to get taken away. Current not necessarily the most versed in the operator, neither is Larocque on the Vandal, it seems. But Anima, what a round for him to come alive as well, just when it's a 9-9 scoreline, pushing Eternal Fire onto the double digits first. Not only that, pushing BBL Pacific onto lesser weapons. Look, there's 0 bullets in the mag, has to go for the reload. Lighter just unaware that Anima hasn't pressed forward and would be expecting a flank, especially after no trade comes out over towards heaven. And yeah, timeout after that is so expected, especially how it fell apart at the seams. You go 1-for-1 in the opening trades. You have the opportunity for a 2v1 against the Lurk player, the only way back into the A bomb site for the side of Eternal Fire, because mid was surrendered by them. It was that sort of 50-50 trade, no space gathered by either team. And Anima just pulls it back out of nowhere, realistically.
And this minute could be a moment of silence before BBL Pacific gets sent off from their map pick as second best. Little to no credits remaining. I think they're going to have to juggle some of the finances, and you can see it's going to be quite top heavy. Struggling here. And so with BBL Pacific, 1 op, 2 Vandals, a Bulldog, and then a Sheriff.
Opportunities though. 4 ultimates.
It is true.
Big ultimates for the side of BBL Pacific. You have that showstopper and comeback. Loiter has Cosmic Divide for the retake. Even LaRock, sure, not necessarily the weaponry you want one of your players on. Resurrection in hand as well, so there's possibilities. Come back on the line, the crossover towards mid. Crewing as the be-all end-all information over towards A, not wanting to give that up again. And it's back to this mid default for the side of Eternal Fire. No matter whether it's at the start, a minute in, there's always going to be some sort of play over towards mid. Stun towards male. Come back versus Izzy. Who's going to win? Shot connects. So that's a good stepping stone. And there's no instant trade either. We saw it in the previous. There was an aggressive peek out of comeback. Sure, gets the kill onto Izzy, but falls immediately after. So that's a secured round for them in regards to the trades. No trades available. I'm walking over towards A.
Look at the time. There's 30 seconds left. This is such a late lunge. They've got a Cypher sat in the backside hall position. The nade dropped in to try and destroy the trips. I don't know if it catches any of them.
Gets one.
In fact. The cage goes up, but the Cypher goes down. Kushner now brings out the showstopper. Can't afford to run through. I think that's going to burn down the rocket completely. Not yet. Fires through. Nothing up close. It's now a 4v4. But there's an ult on site for them to deal with, and it's a pain. Come back finding Kushner with the showstopper. Blast the shot through the ult to see if any more can be collected. Anima gets dropped. The pre-fire. Brave finds one back, but now it's just bodies sat in the open. Slider X has to connect and runs out of ammunition at the worst possible time. It is 10-all. We are still split down the middle after 20 rounds of split. The name is indicative of how this game's going.
Credit to what credit's due, though, for the side of Eternal Fire. They found a way back into the round, especially after losing Izzy so early on. A lovely entry from Kushner X. Sure, wasn't able to destroy all of the trips on the way in, but sure, take down the Cypher, then you're fine. But it's the shot onto Anima. I don't even think they were seen. It was just a pre-fire through the smoke, and it instantly goes to the dome of that Viper player. And it also drops the pit. So not only do you lose a player in the praise plant, you lose all of this shroud of green protecting you. Looking like a little bit of a switch up though for the side of Eternal Fire, wanting to go a little bit quicker over towards this B site, or at least put a lot of pressure on. Rolling Thunder available, put a double lurk over towards A. Does Crewin take the liberties and jump peek this, because it's being held by Izzy. He's not holding for the normal one. He's ready for a jump peek from CT. Tour de force posted up. But still, Spike isn't moving, Ryan.
No.
You're getting a little bit of reinforcements over towards the A site from Rose. But he is going to be able to easily pivot over towards main. Trailblazer going to get shot out at least by Anima, so they can note one player over here. The camera should note the second soon enough. And that's going to pull over the attention of Comeback also. At what point does he get put on this angle? At what point does he peek? Is at this point not necessarily the fight that Anima was hoping to get. You wanted to put Izzy in that situation. That's a ghost sign on B.
Yeah, they're going to send it in. Loiter needs to hit these shots and gets concussed. Now it lands on the shoulders of LaRock. Finds one, backs away. Numbers game. Just going to be favoured in this situation like this. Cider X with the Rolling Thunder. Izzy still with that tour de force up the rock. That was the perfect time to punish. The Sage stuck in heaven. And there you have it. The Rolling Thunder. Izzy connects as well. 3v3. The Rock able to shut down the sniper. But it's not before it finds a second. The res in the middle of the site. It's going to be baited. It's Loiter that falls. And the trade isn't good. I don't know what the idea was. It's all on the Rock 1v2. We'll move back across site. It's Brave that fights. Tries to play cover, will re-swing, but LaRock hits the shot. Is there enough time? Of course,
plenty of time.
There's plenty. That is one hell of a way to go. When the rest came out for BBL Pacific and the players ran the other way, I was scratching my head. I was like, what the hell are these guys doing? They just sold out completely on the site res of Loiter. Both players run left. The first kill doesn't go their way, and then they offer up two 1v1s to give the closer for BBL Pacific. It's another 1vx that's won out by the defending force, and this time it's LaRock with one hell of a round.
And it's so important, not only two pivotal, or even 3 pivotal moments for LaRock in that round, right? The first kill, being able to trade out your Astra on site who was stunned up, they had no chance realistically. Getting that kill and getting out safe to heaven. Second, is able to drop down into hell before that Rolling Thunder is activated, so he's ahead of it. So he's able to get the kill on the player on onto that pillar position, cycles back round, gets that resurrection off. Gives a little bit of more information to the side of BBL Pacific where the 2 remaining players are in the post plant. And again, Izzy being taken off early on into this round, and it seems Comeback is really taking it to the mark for this chamber play. He's not even getting a chance to come into under these attacking rounds. We can see how impactful that operator can be once it gets that line of sight, but Comeback's already on it. And look at this rotate as well. Camera's not necessarily seeing so much over towards A. We'll spot out Animus soon enough. The reinforcements that they've brought over here, they're trusting Kruin so much on holding down this site, buying enough time for the rotates to come through. And the exploration over towards main. A missed shot. But information gathered. Is that going to be the speed up? Are they going to expect a lesser defended site because the operator's there?
It's so tricky because they don't know if they're going to double back towards A, but they don't know whether to believe that the Cypher hold is going to be good enough. So the resources are stacked. The wall goes up. They're scared of the site take. There's only 20 seconds, by the way. There is a finite amount of time. There's missed shots from the op. There's 5 kills in the span of a couple of seconds. It's a 2v2, but the spike gets dropped. Rose now forcing the hand of Anima. Has to push in towards site, making noise. There's not enough time to do it all. We'll try and stick the spike plant, but the swing is just sublime from Rose, and it's another different name in the kill feed. Thrice this time. It's Rose for BBL Pacific's 12. It's map and series point in this BO5, and it might just end in 3.
Yeah, and just looking at the replay, it's again the survivability of these players, knowing when not to overheat, because you saw it by LaRock in the previous, gets the first, immediately backs out, doesn't overcommit to any sort of gunfight, whether it's favourable or not, playing that longer game. Rose knows he's the only player towards site. He's in a 1v2 situation where, sure, he gets the first, doesn't go for the kill onto the second, just plays a ring around the Rosies, just going around and around site, and by that time, your player, your teammate, the other player, Kruin, comes into heaven. So now you know your back is protected, that open plant is protected, you can take that peek onto the player planting safe, and trust Kruin. Well, even if I die, there's no time on the clock anyway. We've got this round secured, goes for the kill, connects the shots, and like you said, 12 on the board. BBL Pacific are looking to, well, steamroll through this lower finals, book their place into the grand finals for a chance to have their revenge against Tulpars Supermassive, because, well, yesterday, I know for one, I didn't expect it to, the team to be the one in the lower finals. I was expecting this to be the grand finals, possibly, of the matchups. Yeah. Eternal Fire, I would favour them to best over Tulpars Supermassive, although we've seen some really nice highlights from that team in particular, who are waiting, who are watching this game, and there's got to be some sort of warning bells for them. They're looking at this. BBL Pacific, this is realistically the only map they've struggled on in regards to the scoreline. This is the closest we've seen so far.
The first time I think they've actually broken a sweat in this series, and it is on what could be the final round here on Split for Eternal Fire's run in the close quali. Of course, they do get a cash prize, but it's nowhere near what they would have been looking for heading into this. Shot at some tier 1 teams, a much bigger prize pool, some more developed talent that they'd be playing against. The wall broken. Dog sits behind. It's the Sky that gathers the information of the raise. I don't know if the chamber was spotted as well. I don't think so. Rose is still playing for a jump spot, uncertain and unsure if they're still going to pivot towards B, or if this is going to be a loop round towards A. And that's why the over-rotation hasn't happened yet. There's 30 seconds left, Summer.
Lighter has to be careful. Look how wide he's positioning. As soon as this smoke goes down on main, especially now that Paranoia is coming now, but it misses. Lighter avoids it, and he gets 2 for his troubles.
And Izzy will fire back with the headhunter, but it's another late lunge towards B. It's another unsuccessful attempt towards B, and it is Eternal Fire 0-3 out of this tournament, and BBL Pacific will get their rematch as a 3-0 win puts them in the grand final.
What a way to do it. We're talking about this, realistically, the last couple of rounds in this map, in Split, was where we saw BBL Pacific even start to sweat. Because, well, if you think about it, in the last two, bear in mind we're on a third map of a best of 5, they'd only conceded 12 rounds. And I think that's just incredible to think of, that in one map, they've almost, well, matched what they were able to do in 2 previous. So this is definitely going to be a benefit or a positive for Eternal Fire to look at and be like, okay, we managed to put the stress, put the sweat on BBL Pacific a little bit, but they're definitely not going to be happy with that result. Losing their map pick in that 39 fashion, especially after revisiting Pool, where you got 13-5 previously on Tuesday, coming back and, well, doing even worse, getting 13-3'd, it's definitely not that improvement of the rematch we were hoping to see, especially on such an important point in this bracket. It's the lower finals. Eternal Fire are going home.
Yeah, exactly that. And the rematch that we've been looking for, the Papara Supermassive side playing BBL Pacific, it's the rematch from the upper final tomorrow. BO5 grand final, winner through to the main event. Loser is, well, unfortunately second best and will not make it to play against the likes of BBL, Liquid and Giant X. We'll find out who that is tomorrow. For now, though, have a great night, enjoy your food, and get some rest, because we're back tomorrow for another banger here at the Reloaded 2024 Valorant event.
Heroes. They're made of actions. They know how to win. They're out of this world. You know them. Be one today. Get serious. Be the story to be told. All you need is dedication, perfection, precision, a winning attitude. Become one with your duo and embrace the monster in you. Tulpar for serious.
You don't believe the hype, so we stick to performance. You're not buying off the shelf, so we create for the off and running. You deliver ambitious builds, unrivaled gaming, and untethered creativity. We develop products that do the same. Crucial Memory and Storage offers high-performance solutions for maximizing your potential. For the tech-savvy, the tech-rookie, and the technically, I'm just getting started. Because wherever your drive is taking you, it's also taking us.